What's up, people? Welcome back, Dylan. Remember when I said I was gonna fix this chat not working on the start screen? I totally forgot about that. I don't know what's wrong with it. Still, I got it. I'll just replace it with the other chat. So it doesn't really matter. Yo, thanks Bucky for the sub. Let's go. I appreciate it. What's up, Brian? It was good to see David's rematch with Will's a little bit. Capitalism, unlimited capitalism, but no capitalism. What's up, Sample? True. I saw a little bit of it. I didn't watch the whole thing or whatever. Notably, Will's not replying to my DM still, or my tweet. Okay. I asked David, and David said he didn't really have any way to reach out to him or what's up, Hulk Flyer? Welcome back. Or that girl who David also spoke to. I reached out to her over TikTok and Discord. She has not replied to either of them. Professor Dave explains video's not fun dropping soon, I heard. Oh no. Shit. By the way, I'll probably talk a little bit about this today, but what's up, Starfuse? Welcome back. I looked just a bit more into that honest accounts things that the girl cited. Obviously, I think everything I said about the conceptual issue is it kind of has still is still true. I don't think it's really fair on a just from a like balance of payments perspective. You need a model, or you need like some way of slicing up which transactions are accommodative and which ones are autonomous, and they don't really do that. They just kind of say, hey, we added up a bunch of separate accounts and like it's net negative. And it's like, that doesn't really, you need like an account of, you know, you can make any arbitrarily negative or positive just by adding up subcategories that are balance of payments. You need like a reason to do it. You need like, you know, these were transactions taken for their own sake, and these were transactions taken just to finance the other transactions. And you need like a model like that can have some anticipation of like the welfare effects, because it doesn't follow just because like the accounting identity shows us that has net negative or net positive welfare. I think that still stands. That I think the stuff they do where it's like they count like the climate cost or whatever, which is not like an actual outflow that the country's paying or whatever, but they don't count any of like the sort of positive spillovers from like things like FDI, right? It's like if we're counting like the negative spillovers from fucking climate change, why aren't we counting like the positive spillovers from foreign direct investment? Or more generally, the positive spillovers from just like the fact that Africa to some extent does benefit from just the overall total factor productivity of the developed nations, right? Of the overall technology that they develop, right? Like the drugs we invent that we price discriminate on. So I think all that still stands, but like the actual data in it itself is fucking bullshit too. It's not even accurate. It's like I have to read a bit more into the stuff just to know the exact mechanism or the no more details. But it's like a non-negligible portion of the like illicit outflow that they measure is literally just the fact that one, South Africa's gold mining government agency didn't compile data in the correct format to enter the international trade statistics, and two, that South Africa classified its gold as monetary gold and other countries classified its gold as non-monetary gold. So when they bought gold from South Africa, there's like a mismatch, and they just assume any mismatch in the trade data is like an illicit financial flow, which obviously is not the case. There are cases like that where it's literally just like a very like basic data issue, and there are cases where it's just like kind of similar data issues where perfectly ordinary trade, non-exploitative trade will create mismatches just because other countries label things differently, or because other countries don't report it properly, or because it goes through like an intermediary country, and sometimes when it goes through an intermediary country, there ends up being a net mismatch between the two countries where the goods actually ended up. It's just like shit like that, and it's like it's all horrible. I don't know. should be granted that. It's just cool. You have some type of knowledge in history, but it won't do well if you have shitty statistical reasoning. Yeah, especially when you start making causal claims for which I would expect pure governance for. Yeah. Like, even if we grant them that they have knowledge in history, it won't even do well for them. Yeah. And it also doesn't even... none of the evidence in there is even, like, that supportive of, like, the Marxist framework. It's like... like, the fact that, countries that, like, are importing capital, you know, are have, like, a net financial outflow if you divide up the balance of payments in this way or whatever. It's like, well, that's like, they have to pay return to the capital that they import. So yeah, that's not like a strictly like Marxist type hypothesis. You don't need exploitation or anything to get there. It can be a net benefit. It can be mutually beneficial, and it can have like a long run pro growth effects or whatever. And you still end up in that case. That's just kind of like always the case. Whatever. Horrible. Africa benefits the most from institutional partnerships rather than investment or aid. Well, I don't know, like the which things that are most beneficial or whatever. But most democratic policies wouldn't pass a welfare analysis. I mean, probably. Kill me. We'll talk about. Oh my god. So many memes. What's up, Momentum? Welcome back. I swear to God, citing Romer and these people will collapse their brain. Probably citing anyone to these people. You know what's funny? That one of the people who writes a lot about this the stuff or whatever is Maya Forstarter or whoever, who like was like fired in the UK. Yeah, this girl was like fired in the UK for their like transphobic tweets or some shit. I forget exactly what it was, but like she was like standing JK Rowling and stuff of that nature, and she ended up getting fired for it, I think. Yeah. So they might just dismiss it based off that. 600 billion cars, whatever, just a bunch of this stuff is machines, package Medicaid. I'm thinking like fucking like Mexico. I think Mexico has more cars. I don't know. Fuck. I feel like it would be 600 billion. I feel like it would have a northeast if it was Europe. I don't think it is Germany, but I'm just gonna guess Germany because that's gonna give me the geography. Yeah, okay, damn, fuck. Italy? I don't think this would be Italy, would it? But it wouldn't be, but what's below? What's on the same latitude as Mexico? That would have this stuff, bro. It is Italy, damn. Goated. We should split the country in the middle and you get the... oops, I hit the wrong thing. And you get the north and I get the south and see which one is more prosperous. I would just ask AI, Manhattan tax Foundation to design a policy, and you can ask Matt Bruneck. Why do you think I just like have a disagreement of how you're reading Matt Bruneck? Oh, you just gave him most of the cities he went. Well, that's kind of that might be true. I don't think David did well against Wills. I just think David should press Wills and empirical claims about it. Yeah, I think he did really well, especially for someone who like doesn't debate that type of stuff often. And it's like, you know, it's just you can't know everything and it's just you can't expect everyone to know everything. So like you can't like it doesn't make it just like it doesn't make sense. Most 99% of even like political streamers should not have to know how South Africa's gold exports were miscalculated and therefore ended up in a bunch of trade statistics as illicit financial flows, even though they're not illicit finance. Like no one should like have to know the stuff for you to dismiss it. I don't want to say just straight up dismiss it or whatever, but like to like dismiss or shit on some of the evidence that lefties provide or whatever. So like I understand like you should ask for evidence and you should ask for like empirical reasoning and stuff, but it's just hard for everyone to know enough to do that stuff. I literally get California, Texas, and Virginia. Hold on. Split the country in the middle. I get the north. Oh, I get New York City. I get Seattle. I get what are the other big cities? What's up, sentient being? I know that I know nothing. Incredible. Yeah, I agree. You don't have to have extensive knowledge and everything. That's why I think Will is trying to dog him. Yeah, I know. I'm talking politics and not knowing history. It's lame. Like, you don't need to know every fucking historical fact to read a political discussion. Yeah. You just need to... I agree. You just need to know the Marxist dialectical analysis. China, Germany, Spain, I'm guessing. Fuck. Synthetic monofilament. I'm guessing Turkey. I don't know if that's a good guess. It was not a good guess. I'm guessing Italy. Okay, that was number 5. The US, I should have guessed Japan, and I could have got the US too, but... Did you see a AY call... Oh, ask yourself, call be a clown today? I did not. Call... Do you mean Avi? Not fun. This is wrong. Debate should be the debate if we should destroy civilization crucially depends on both the inflation index we use and the way we account for South Africa's illicit financial flows. What do you call Matthew a clown or what's this? Oh, Betson's bulldog. Is that what it was supposed to be? BB. I bet you tried to type BB and it auto-corrected to BE. I didn't see that, but I am in Ask Yourself and Avi's both of their servers. Well, no, it's not that surprising. Also, by the way, it's interesting how they put out one in 2014. This honest account stuff or whatever. And then they put out one in 2017. And then a few months later, some of the data they used in here, this GFI data, you can see this is like from the it's from the 2015 report, which looked at the years 2004 to 2013. And it's interesting they haven't made one since then, when the GFI corrected their data. I don't know. The charts in here are broken, and I couldn't get them to work. But I could probably make it myself. Because I think I would just have to download the data from the PDF, and Clark Code could probably do it honestly. They corrected their data for all the South Africa stuff, and there's a lot of it, so much of it is just like weird mineral mismatches between countries because of how they classify them, or because of an intermediary country it passes through. But they fixed it, and it went like way down. GFI notes in its most recent report, this is their, I think, 2017 report. Yeah. Which looks at 2005 to 2014. Irreconcilable issues in the destination reporting of Zambia's copper exports and South Africa's gold exports distort bilateral estimates of misinvoicing to such a degree that bilateral estimations of misinvoicing for these countries are of little practical use. They therefore switched for these two cases from their main methodology of comparing trade records bilaterally to comparing other countries' own statistics with partners on an aggregate world basis. It sure doesn't work, but overall, the estimated illicit flows due to misinvoicing from Africa falls from an average of $60 billion a year to an average of $32 billion. There's significant downward reassessment from South Africa and Zambia, which went from a bilateral to world approach, and a significant upward reassessments of Sudan, Algeria, and Egypt, which went from world to bilateral. GRI also discovered large amounts of gold exported from India to Switzerland, which they counted as misinvoiced, were in fact recorded in official statistics. The realization led them to reduce the estimates from illicit flow from India via trade misinvoicing by 85%. Which India is not in the Africa report, obviously, but most of California population lives below the midpoint. I mean, that makes sense. SoCal, as they call it, has all the big cities. That's why the North wants to join the greater Idaho. What's up, Gregory Albright? I don't take people who lose arguments to flat earthers seriously. That would be my main complaint about Professor Dave. I don't think he ever lost a flat earth debate. Pretty sure the ones I've seen him do, he did pretty well in. Where's the California version? What could be, guys? What could be? I like Dave. I mean, Dave is good. He got good videos on some things. He's just like, clearly, I don't know how he's so brain broken about Israel, Palestine, and the Democrats more generally. I don't know. People often cite knowledgeable on science and dunking in flat earthers tend to be very fucking stupid when they 7 in politics. Well, not 10, but it doesn't mean they are somehow knowledgeable in politics. Yeah. I think if we review Dave's catalog, knowing what we know now, he's basically a fraud who slipped under the radar. I think we'd find lots of past debate Dave failure. I feel like, at least the ones I've watched, he's done pretty well in. But it's like stuff I said this, I think, last stream too. It's like, I like the content on like stuff he knows about. I don't know why he even makes educational content on stuff he like doesn't know that much about. And there are certain like he has like economics like class. And like I watched a little bit of it one time, I remember. And most of it was like fine, but it's just like clearly it's probably not worth his time. It's like clearly not going to be the best resource on it. But like his video talking about Eric Weinstein, and his like bullshit economic inflation index thing, like that video was pretty good. And he like talked to a real economist in that video. And then I feel like I've seen him do well in at least one debate against the flat earther. I don't remember the name of them. The fucking weird Farina guy he did a debate against on abiogenesis, was it? That was interesting. Calculations still fail to take into account the monetary non-monetary issue for gold issue for South Africa. GFI's new low estimate of outflows through misinvoicing from South Africa gives an average of around 8.6 billion. However, the data on gold exports from the South African Reserve Bank suggests that non-illicit exports and monetary gold exports might still account for around 6 billion of this. We'll debate Destiny, Leonard Blacks, or Avi on IP. Not surprising. Yeah. You're most likely a fucking Yeah, I think you do. I think you would. If he ever actually did, it'd be like he would basically troll during it. It would just be like a troll thing. And also this, by the way, It's crazy. It's the biggest individual outflow they have. It's the illicit financial outflows. And it's like mostly just wrong. Thanks for the 50. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's not my birthday, but I appreciate it. $50, Gregory Elby / Patrol. I know he's Patrol still. I appreciate it, buddy. My birthday's not that far away. It's in September. My birthday is September 24th. Happy birthday. Maybe I'll do another stream for another 24-hour stream. Yeah, no, this stuff doesn't make sense. It's horrible, and there's no way. You know, I would love to talk to that girl, whatever her, I forget her name, the TikTok girl. But I can just imagine how difficult it would be to be like, okay, have you ever like taken an accounting class? So there's this thing called double entry bookkeeping, and necessarily the balance of payment is equal to 0, and you can make any arbitrarily, you know, large or small with it, you know, bounded by like just the total number of transactions. Inflow, outflow by just adding up the subcategories. You need a way of actually justifying which subcategories are in there, and it would just make me want to die. Want to game it myself. Oh, it's exported 232 billion in minerals and oil to the rest of the world. I don't know why this isn't. I understand it's about financial stuff or wealth or whatever, but like that's like income that they're getting, right? Like I think even if you, by the way, try to account for some of this stuff, it actually ends up being a net inflow for Africa. It's like 12 billion net inflow. When your next blog coming out? I don't know. Maybe I'll write one about that. About this, I don't know. Okay, girl talk. Say this woman at Arby's had learned my name and rushes over to serve me when I go in at lunch. Smileys and really sweet. How do I tell what it is appropriate to ask her? You're asking the wrong guy. Asking the wrong man. The debate about corporate income tax incidents crucially depends on if Elon Musk will deport Sneeko. This is true. This is true. $67.6 net resource billion net resource transfers, balance of outflows and inflows from sub-Saharan Africa, mainly in the form of trade misinvoicing by multinational companies. This is a mistake, as mentioned above. GFI does not net illicit inflows and outflows, but if they did, the result would be 12 billion of illicit inflows to Africa. It's like, oh my god, bro. How often do you go there, and how often did you quickly? Oh, you're talking to Patrol. Also, do you tip it really well, like you do me? Because that could be. Yeah, I was gonna say you're a famous non-fawn whale, and she might just be after you for the money, brother. Thoughts on whatever that is? What this hashtag? What this is? Autonomous region of Spain. Oh, the Morocco thing? I don't know. I saw like one thing about it. What actually happened? I just saw like one video of like migrants running over or whatever. No brother news. Yeah, I don't actually know what happened really. I just saw like I just saw like one. I saw like one video. After tens of thousands of migrants enter Spanish territory, most returned to Morocco. About 48,000 of the up to 60,000 people who came into, don't know how to pronounce it, from Morocco returned within a day. Civil sudden influx created a crisis for Spain's pro-immigration government. Nearly 3 dozen died. Would you give them all work visas? Yeah, Nalfon supports immigration. Therefore, he is in support of 60,000 people coming to a small Spanish territory. Like... No, I give them all citizenship based. I like. First of all, probably it actually would be good to give them some work visas, because probably it'd be better for them if they could migrate to mainland Spain than all stay there. So it might legitimately be net benefit just for that reason, right? Like, even if you think it's like a net negative overall for Spain, probably still better to like spread that burden out over the entirety of Spain, or a few places where they choose to aggregate, than all stay on the same Moroccan territory. But regardless of that, okay. Like, no, I don't think, so I don't know the details here or whatever, but like, if you are going to do a pro-immigration regime, like, you should do it in such a way where you don't have situations like this. Now, I don't think that has that broader implications for like the longer run positive effects of immigration. What the hell actually, what happened? why do they do it now? Migrants began crossing in large numbers on Thursday. They climbed over border fences or sometimes for hours to its shores. Some people said that they had been encouraged to enter by the Moroccan authorities. They kept saying, "Go that way, go that way." 2 times a week, sometimes 3. Someone my name right away. I let it be for months now, but it was bubbling. But was bubbling talking to me today. It's Arby's. I didn't tip. That is, I guess I don't even consider that. Yeah. That's, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Like, worst case scenario, you just go to a different Arby's from now on. I say go for it, brother. Morocco's government does not recognize Spain's sovereignty over, don't know how to pronounce it, and the Malaya, whatever. I'm gonna mispronounce this if I don't look it up.
Suda.
Tensions grew in the past when Morocco appeared to let more migrants move towards Ceuta as a way to exert political pressure on Spain. I don't know, insofar as the Moroccan government is like just encouraging people to raid over the, like, probably bad. Yeah, like, I saw a few clips, but like it. I don't know. So it was literally, was there even a change in Spanish law or anything? Or did it just kind of happen? Give them all work visas? I mean, I'm just saying. you care about it so much. Well, most of them are gone by now, anyways, I guess. But you know, might as well spread it out over all of Spain. Or just give Morocco the territory back. Get rid of the neo-colonial holdings. Oh shit, is that going to be what Mehdi Hassan is going to say? Oh shit. Mehdi, the fake invasion of Spain, what you need to know. One. So I already forgot to pronounce it. Ceuta is not Europe. Or not in Europe, although the 6-mile-long peninsula is a Spanish enclave. Ceuta is in mainland Spain. The city lines of Morocco's inner coast. Been under Spanish control. It's paywalled. Israel. It's been under Spanish control since 1580. One of the 2 Spanish cities that form the European Union's only land borders in Africa. It's part of the EU and Schengen area. It operates under special rules that restrict people from entering mainland Spain and the rest of the EU. At least 80% of migrants have already returned to Morocco voluntarily. Wow. Yeah, it's Mehdi as well. Can't imagine why 0.3 is there. Yeah, I know. So I can't. Why would they paywall right when it gets good, guys? Damn. See the event AES is doing? I don't think so. Socialist and neoliberal synthesis. Left party. Germany must take in sort of migrants, while Spain's socialist government struggles with the consequences of the massive influx of migrants in enclave. The left in Germany is already demanding for Germany to take in migrants from the Oran city. Wow. Taking asylum seekers. Deputy left parliamentary group. Anyone who believes that further isolation will solve the problem is mistaken. Situation in Twitter is a lot of political decisions. More and wow. I mean, not surprising. I think there's gotta be someone out there. Gotta be someone out there who just said it's the Moroccan people's rightful territory. Can we find it? Can we find it? All eyes in Michigan. Join us. For Sunday. Sorry, I know, I don't think that's an intentional reference to like the All Eyes on Rafa or whatever, but kill me. Join us Sunday for a night of games, community, and laughter to raise the resources we need to win. They got... I see Cat up a Gazela. She's like basically the only person I recognize. Oh, Cristobal I recognize. Adam Green. I feel like I know who Adam Green is. And it's the MSNBC girl, right? Could he help her? I probably will recognize her once I look her up if you're saying her name in all caps. Nope, I don't. She's in a soda space. Did you see the Hamas disarm? I know that there were, whatever, yeah, I had like whatever negotiations, or that Trump wants Hamas to disarm from. But that's always been a demand, and like all the ceasefires, and none of it is like ever really gotten that far, right? The events in Ceuta are a timely illustration of why we need open borders. No open borders due to select for young, aggressive males. Um, what the fuck? The events in Sweden are a timely illustration of why we need open borders. No open borders. You just select for young, aggressive males who don't respect oh no, I see the point he's making. Sorry, I see the point he's making. I mean, I don't fully agree necessarily, but I think the general point that, yeah, probably a liberal immigration regime is preferable to one where you're selecting for the types of people who are willing to break the laws to cross over.
If Hamas disarm, their entire identity is going to have to be like revolutionized, because armed resistance is like their entire, it's what separates them from the PLO. And without that, they also claim it's a legal right. So if they give it up, it's like they're saying they're giving up an international legal right.
True.
So that our land remains
The right of the people to resist occupation.
If you're going to have a deja vu, we've kind of heard that sentence before. We haven't heard it come from the US saying that a deal has actually been agreed to. Hamas have hinted at disarming quite a lot. They have often attached about 1 billion caveats to it to basically make it very clear that it's never going to happen because their conditions are just unattainable. But this seems to be a negotiation that's been ongoing for about 8 months since the ceasefire, and Hamas have agreed to something. They've agreed to some framework. To my knowledge, when I was reading this morning, Israel are yet to respond. So I'm going to read some of it with you guys because the full text is it's out now. So that's good. And I'm going to maybe see if you guys have anything that we can look out for, because
Probably to 60% odds Hamas disarms. Damn. I wouldn't expect it to be that high. Historic agreement to for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step towards lasting peace and security. He said that the agreement envisioned Hamas disarming in stages, with the Israeli military pulling out of territory gradually being replaced by an international stabilization force that would work in partnership with a revamped Palestinian police force to provide security. As of Friday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office had not commented. Commitment to halting the killings and ending its aggression is the fundamental prerequisite and the first step towards implementation, and a framework and timetable for what has been agreed upon must be established. We're not asking Israel to do anything other than agree to the 20-point plan they agreed to initially, so we're very confident they will adhere to it. If they don't, obviously, President Trump will be very, very disappointed. What's up, Big Jerry? Welcome back. Later, it's the TLDR's Hamas agreed to disarm in a controlled manner after Israel leaves.
it's never really...
Which is, it's like, as I understand it, like every fucking ceasefire has been, or at least they like, there's like multiple stages of ceasefire, and the first stage is just like Israel withdrawals a little bit and Hamas exchange some hostages, and then it's like stage 2 and 3, yet to be determined exact details, but we commit to discussing disarmament or whatever. So I don't know, maybe it'll go further this time, but I'd be skeptical that even if there's a stronger commitment to disarm, that both sides would actually behave in such a manner that it happens, because even some minor violation of a ceasefire on one side can be taken as can be an excuse for the other to not totally adhere to the rest of it.
As we'll do this thing as a headline, because it's not on.
Would Harris get Hamas to disarm? I mean, I doubt that Trump will either, but I think it might be like a tad bit less likely, but probably to the extent Hamas is like willing to disarm, it's just because of Israel's continued, first of all, like targeting of their leadership. So at some point, you're probably going to get leaders that are more open to the idea of diplomacy, and just their continued, I say gains in the war, but continued, I guess gains in a war is a fair phrase, but like they're not literally like gaining territory really anymore. But I think probably Kamala Harris would have, I don't even know if we would have gotten a ceasefire under Harris, just because it'd be hard to do. But like probably Kamala Harris, there'd be a greater chance of getting a ceasefire before Hamas had gotten to the point where they were willing to quote unquote disarm or whatever. But like probably you would have also seen, more protection for civilians more generally. So you should probably like weigh those two things to some extent.
Toward for groups
Probably does have it pretty high. Got to keep that in mind as evidence. I mean, yeah.
in any conflict really to agree to something, but then to attach so many caveats to it to the point that that the other side's never going to agree with it, and it basically just functions as a headline to say, yeah, look, we did agree with it. It's like a propaganda move, right? So what are the problems with Hamas disarming? Well, one very clear one is that Hamas is, in its very bones, a resistance movement. It is an armed resistance movement. Ever since the First Intifada, when the more organized parallel institutions and the people adjacent to the PLO were against the use of what they called hot weapons, they wanted people to only use things like stones or maybe sometimes knives. For Hamas, they were fine to use guns and everything else. And one of their first...
Doesn't make your head spin a bit that Harris is going to be the candidate again? I mean, I don't necessarily... I don't think that's particularly unlikely, but I don't think it's like... I don't think it's the most likely thing. But I would prefer Harris not be the candidate again.
Times that they introduced themselves as Hamas was through posters in Gaza where they introduced themselves by that name and where they, in no ambiguous language, were talking about slaughtering the Jewish invasion.
If Trump was able to get Hamas to disarm, eventually Iran win and has disarmed, then we should say in retrospect, Trump over Harris. Probably not still, because I think probably just so it'd be some of it might be dependent on like just how long some of the like the norm breaking stuff lasts or whatever. Because I think like I could imagine a world where Trump like does all his fuck stuff or whatever, but he also gets the things you mentioned, and then we just get like a Democrat or a like somehow out of the woodwork, okay, some normal-ish Republican comes into power and is willing to reestablish a bunch of the norms that we had before about like the political prosecutions and stuff like that. Then it's like, okay, I can view Trump as like more of a blip who did a lot of really bad stuff, but also things recovered pretty quickly afterwards. And, we got these good things in the Middle East that last a long time. But if those things don't recover, then probably I have reason for thinking that long-term outcomes are going to be worse from that. So like in Rubio, and the real danger is Don Jr. I prefer Rubio to basically any other Republican, other than people who aren't Republicans anymore. I don't know, maybe I prefer Tom Tillis to Rubio, but I vote Rubio over basically any Democrat. Whoa, that's crazy. Rubio helped Merck USAID. He's helping administrating it, bro. What do you mean? What do you mean? He's still working all the CIA woke. Well, the woke stuff he got rid of, but the CIA, soft power, yada yada yada, orgs. How do you quantify how bad the norm violations are? I mean, I don't think you can for the pale situation by number. You can for the pale situation by number. Oh, sorry, pallet situation by number of deaths. I mean, I don't. It'd be hard because I think like there are gonna be like certain norm violation things or whatever that probably make decisions that lead to lots of deaths more likely. Like I think when you get rid of like meritocratic systems, I think when you encourage corruption, I think when you have the sort of have the kakistocracy, okay, as Richard Anania would say, okay, like you probably make it more likely that the decisions that do lead to a lot of bad things are gonna happen. So there's that. So I don't know. It's hard to quantify, but I'm just going basically off my intuition there. Let's suppose Trump gives every American a pony for all these statements reflect reality. Okay, let's set up Trump saves Cuba and saves Venezuela. And let's throw in Mexico. Still not Trump over here. What do you mean? Are you saying again? I think it might be dependent on, like, what am I assuming is the outcome in terms of the sort of longer term stability of the republic stuff.
Shit, right? So they've always been the armed resistance movement. They've always been the movement that says you cannot win anything out of negotiating, but you can win through strength. So when Israel pulls out of Gaza in 2005, Hamas says we achieved in a few months what the PLO couldn't achieve in several years. So our force, resistance, achieved what negotiating could not. Hezbollah used the same line, right? So if Hamas disarm, their entire identity is going to have to Israel to withdraw from Gaza. 1. All parties reaffirm their commitment to Trump's comprehensive plan to achieve peace in Gaza, which constitutes, together with the UN Security Council Resolution 2803, the agreed upon international framework
Vance gives me Al Gore vibes, and before anyone gets angry and threatens me, I'm not saying Vance is like Al Gore. I'm saying that he makes me feel the same way Al Gore makes me feel. Okay. Vance is intelligent. Too bad he's a chud.
Guiding the implementation of this process. Through this process, the parties aim at ending the cycle of destruction, securing the complete withdrawal of Israel from the Gaza Strip, restoring normal life, enabling Palestinian governance, reconstruction, security, recovery, and economic development, rehabilitating damaged sectors, and facilitate launching a credible political path to achieve self-determination and statehood. 2. Israel shall fully complete without delay all remaining commitments under Sharm el-Sheikh Protocol, particularly the cessation of military operations in detailed Annex 1. Hamas and the Palestinian factions shall complete the cessation of all military operations in accordance with the peace plan. In parallel, the timetable and implementation mechanisms of this roadmap shall be prepared within 14 days after all parties approve.
I vote for any moderate D over Vance, and I would vote for Vance over Progressive, Rubio over AOC. This might be like dependent on exactly what type of stuff Rubio plays into and the situation with like the Senate for AOC and stuff or whatever. So like I think if we're talking, you know, AOC can get basically almost anything he wants in the Senate, and the House, I mean, a House majority Democrats are very likely to have, but then like I could definitely see a case for Rubio. I'll make a Rubio in that case, but elsewise, probably AOC.
Which could be extended by a decision by the International Arbitration.
See, the issue is I've listened to Vance speak, which is why I don't believe that. I mean, okay, listen, easy money. I think I might understand. You know, no, I'm going to take back saying I might understand. I don't think it would call anyone else who said something like, as Christian morals left the political discussion, economics entered the vacuum. Like, someone uttering that sentence in any other context, I think you would say is not intelligent. Okay. What about foreign policy? AOC is anti-interventionist. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't have like that crazy strong opinions on foreign policy, so probably I'm not going to be as anti-interventionist as AOC, but I think she's also more likely to do certain things, foreign policy that I support, like, I don't know, probably be good to normalize relationships with Cuba. That's all I can think of. What about foreign policy? Oh, the foreign policy tanks support the Dems now because they went woke.
Upon the completion of the timetable and implementation mechanisms, the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza shall enter the Strip and start assuming its responsibilities. The IVC shall be established by the Board of Peace.
But that would be a terrible approach from any practical standard. I kind of just feel like just accelerate, get a bunch of DSA people in there, let the communism blowback happen. Bro. He's not anti-interventionist per se. His statements at Munich were not full-on anti-interventionism. Well, she might not be anti-interventionist by crazy lefty standards, but I don't know. The things I've heard to say are not, I would classify as, for a politician at least, anti-interventionist. Did she vote for she did vote for the last Ukraine bill still, right? Which was a while ago by now. I think she's voted for all the Ukraine aid things. I know she did early on, but it seems like she did for the more recent stuff as well. She does vote for Ukraine's army, yeah, and Ukraine sanctions, yeah. Well, Ukraine sanctions on Russia, but yeah, she's consistently more pro-Ukraine than Vance. Yeah, I mean, I know she's consistently more pro-Ukraine than Vance and Trump and stuff. But I think, you know, that's Vance has different reasons, I think, for being not as pro-Ukraine than being an anti-interventionist. But
compromising representatives from the guarantors. The International Stabilization Force, the ISF, shall certify that both parties fulfill the commitments under the roadmap before proceeding to the implementation of Phase 2. Now, this deployment of...
Do you guys hear my cat? Oh my god. What are you meowing about?
The ISF is said to need about 6 or 8 months. It's going to take quite a bit of time to have these people from different countries, right, like trained and ready to deploy in Gaza. Again, the problem is, how do international forces usually fare when it comes to fighting with resistance movements? How does it go when they're fighting in Lebanon, right? They didn't really. The UN could not do shit about Hezbollah, or about the IDF for that matter, right? Why would they? And even if they could, why would some Irish soldier stick his neck out to deal with a Hezbollah installation in the middle of South Lebanon? And
okay, who is this informed guy giving me opinions? I'm the authority now. All civilian governments and security function in Gaza will be handed over to the NCAG in accordance with President Trump's cohesive plan. On fully assuming responsibility in Gaza, NCAG shall maintain the continuity of civilian institutions and public service. What's up, Havey? Oh, it's a bot. Let's go. Which conservatives do you think should replace Duhart? Is that the guy from the Philippines? That's what I think of, but I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. I'm thinking of the Philippines leader. What's it? Duhardo or whatever? You don't know? I don't recognize his name. Krigman is pretty cool, underground, Birkin conservative. You might not have heard of. Sounds right. The NYT interview guy.
I think actually the sort of scientist's point originally that you can't do science if an angel is always, if you can always assert that an angel is just responsible for moving a planet.
Don't recognize them. I know this book. I don't know why I know this book, but I know of this book. I think that's it. You watch his videos, but okay, what videos of his do I watch? What? I don't remember. My brain is filled with less important stuff. Don't recognize him. A process to decommission and store heavy weapons, military production sites, deposited weapons, and tunnels shall begin after completing the remaining commitments under I'm going to mispronounce it, Sharam Sharik Protocol, the entry of NCAG, and the deployment of ISF. This process shall be administered and implemented by the NCAG in gradual, subsequential, and time-bound manner according to an implementation timetable that shall be completed within 14 days after all parties approve of the roadmap, which could be extended by a decision by IVC. Process shall be linked to an Israeli withdrawal in phases from the areas under its control in Gaza and the decommissioning of armed militias in accordance with the Article 10 of this roadmap. Thank you, sample text, for this. Interesting. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Can we make this an emote? Process shall be monitored and verified by IVC and supported by ISF. The Palestinian factions shall take part in this process, and no weapons shall be transferred or handed to Israel or non-Palestinian parties. At the end of the process mentioned in Article 7 of Canada's roadmap, only NCAG should hold, store, or control weapons in Gaza. The implementation of this roadmap, including the issue of weapons and other articles of comprehensive peace plan, shall create appropriate conditions for a credible pathway towards achieving Palestinian self-determination and statehood. Well, personal weapons in Gaza should be subject to the regulations of relevant Palestinian laws. Weapons and militia shall be decommissioned and stored under And when it says the militias, there are non-Hamas militias in Gaza. And I wonder if they're going to fuck it up for them. Members of those militias shall not be integrated in the security and police services. IBC shall be responsible for certifying implementation of this issue. Yeah, okay. Interesting. We'll see. Okay, quick thing to piss me off. As usual. Like, this is like the third time MP have sent a video like this. We put a Bernie Democrat in a room with Trump voters. Can he win them over?
Abolish ICE. I have a hard time with that.
I know that Medicare for all would be very difficult. Why is now the time?
Does he support the continued existence of Jews in Israel-Palestine?
All eyes are on Michigan, where Abdul al-Sayed is on the verge of a massive upset in the Senate Democratic primary, campaigning on issues that were previously deemed too radical.
I'm running on three things: money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all.
The argument against
Well, no one has ever run on those issues before. Long deemed too radical.
him is, as usual, about electability.
Has anyone ever thought about getting money out of politics before? Has anyone ever run on this?
The electability issue, that is really the central question here.
The establishment pick is Haley Stevens, who's backed by over $30 million from AIPAC.
No one wants Abdul to win more than the Republicans. They think that they can beat him in November.
But in an era where an increasing number of Americans feel politically homeless, what does electability actually
Can we please get the biggest divide is top down or top bottom, not Democrat Republican?
mean?
Can we please say it?
Concerns with the Democratic Party.
I feel scared to call myself a Democrat.
I no longer consider myself either a Republican or a Democrat.
And can a progressive agenda really win in a purple state like Michigan?
What's my coalition?
Let's see, ban kosher and halal slaughter. And your justification was your novel idea of animal welfare. My novel idea of animal welfare? Would this be Islamophobic and anti-Semitic? I don't know if it would. First of all, I don't know if it would make sense under my idea of animal welfare, because I don't think that kosher or halal slaughter is like worse than the slaughter we do. But if you like had, I think you could do it with like anti-Semitic or Islamophobic motives, and I think like to some extent, if it is the case that they're like similar amounts of suffering for the animal or whatever, and you're only targeting the halal and kosher slaughter, then it probably would be to some degree like Islamophobic and anti-Semitic. But why this kosher slaughter like any nicer? I don't think so. I could be wrong. Or any worse, I mean. Isn't this basically how we do it, like, anyways? You see Spider-Man is doing crazy box office numbers? No, but I will see it on Sunday. Hello, what are you talking about right now? You know, kosher slaughter. If anything, it seems like nicer than many of the ways we currently kill animals. So it clearly isn't Islamophobic. I don't know how many genders are there? I think like it's fair to consider like a policy or like a ban or something that's like targeting a practice that's only common among given individuals if it's sort of like if it's sort of like arbitrary, as in like there's no good reason for stopping it, then like I think it's fair to consider that as some type of phobic against that whatever group of people. I think we shouldn't kill animals overall. Me too, Black Adulter. Me too. Welcome in. Did France ban the hijab? I don't remember the details of it. Wasn't it? I don't remember the details. I remember there being controversy over that. I don't remember the details. I couldn't tell you the fucking details off the top of my head, bro.
It's people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
It was like, wasn't it like some cities banned wearing it in public or some shit, but I don't remember.
We gathered voters with diverse political views to put al-Sayed's message to the test.
I come from a fourth generation.
These are the 4 median voters, the 4 exact middle voter guys. Time for them to. I'm gonna game it myself.
Auto worker family. A lot of what we hear from Democrats is like a lot of lip service, when in actuality they don't really follow through on anything that they really.
True. Isn't more Perfect Union just a propaganda mill at this point? I mean, they've like always been a propaganda mill. They started with this type of stuff, bro. Like.
I am a service-disabled veteran. I would previously describe myself politically as more Republican-leaning.
I have.
Okay, how do I say things and not get canceled for them? First of all, what exactly does service disabled? Does service disabled mean actually disabled by service, or the way a lot of veterans are disabled? But second of all, I like fairly certain Democrats are pretty big on giving a lot of, arguably too many welfare benefits to especially disabled veterans. What does service disabled mean? You're surprised Islamic women have conservative views? No, I mean, so I'm not like that. I was surprised by the veteran. I'm also, or I shouldn't say surprised by the veteran. I just think I think one, I don't know, maybe service disabled is a different category or whatever. But when I don't want to get canceled, but like when a veteran says disabled, I just have an immediate like negative inference as to the like extent of their disability. I'm sorry, people, but like, bro. And then 2, I'm a little bit surprised because I think typically Democrats are the ones that are pretty pro all the, not that Republicans are anti like giving veterans disability benefits, but pretty sure Democrats have been pretty heavily handed for those as well. Service-disabled veteran is a veteran that possesses either a valid disability rating letter issued by the Department of Veteran Affairs establishing a service-connected rating between. Okay, no, this is just like the standard. Yep. Okay, yeah, I see. Or valid disability determination from the Department of Defense, or registered in the beneficiary identification or records locator subsystem managed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Yeah. Okay. And then I think like, I don't know, probably on net Islamic women are more Democrat voters than not, I would guess, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Did you finally see The Odyssey? No, I don't think I might watch it. Not on the IMAX stream, but just at home one day once it comes out on streaming services.
I am a service-disabled veteran. I would previously describe myself politically as more Republican-leaning.
I have voted Republican in the past. I feel like the mainstream media is very biased, and I do respect a lot of the independent journalists, including...
Kill me. Out of necessity? What does that mean? Just because, like, they're afraid Republicans are gonna go to fucking deport them with their family or some shit? Like, I don't think that's a invalid reason for for them to vote Democrat. Like, yeah, that would explain it. Like in America, 99% of people think politics, it's just two parties that you can vote, is so sad. Well, we do have a two-party system. You have any books to recommend, like theory? Yeah, Greg Mankiw, Introduction to Economics. Krugman, the other two writers of the textbook, International Economics, Theory and Policy. Who are the other two authors? Obstelden Millets.
including Tucker Carlson.
My political views have evolved over time.
Kill me.
Donald Trump did visit Dearborn, and he...
Mothers are always Republican. That's definitely not true. Single women are always Democrats. It's one of the most disappointing things about modern women. I would bet that married women are like more Republican than not married women, but it's definitely the case that, you know, in cities, in blue states, and suburbs, that there are quite a lot of suburban mom Democrats. Kind of there's even, you know, a meme about it. What's the name of the girl in the meme where it's like I don't know, Sarah 40, every Republican alive is in front of God.
He said that we will try his best to end wars in the Middle East. We accepted his, pledge.
Have you ever voted for a Republican?
Yes.
Jennifer or Nicole. Nicole, suburban mom and successful corporate lawyer. Every Republican alive is in affront to God.
Many times, more often than Democrat.
Hey everybody, how are you? So good to see you guys. Alexis, nice to meet you. Ibrahim, how are you? Very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be out here. Yeah, really appreciate you.
Let's begin with Medicare for All, because
No boy.
one of the most important issues in this race.
I went to medical school, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about the system. Wrote a whole book on it, and ultimately realized that the biggest challenge is not making the math work. The biggest challenge is not architecting the system. The biggest challenge is creating the political will to get there. I want you to imagine.
What is it? Does making the math work? Is that just referring to the budget effects? I'm assuming that's basically just referring to the budget effects. But probably there are other things we should care about, you know. Probably part of the reason that the political wheel isn't out there is because, number one, people don't like, so people at the very least have status quo bias. So like most people are generally okay and like have positive views of their individual healthcare plan, even if they don't like the healthcare system like overall. And they don't want, therefore they're somewhat adverse to change because of that. So some of that is maybe fairly viewed as status quo bias, but some of that also is probably just the fact that, like, I don't know, a lot of healthcare plans in America are pretty good. You do get good quality care here. So, you know. Steelman, why monopsony represents cost efficiency? Why monopsony represents cost efficiency? I don't know. What? I don't know what it mean. Why monopsony represents cost efficiency. I could see how a monopsony would like lead to some type of cost in Medicare for all. Well, I mean, I was just gonna say, I could see why monopsony would like lead to cost efficiency if they had like significant bargaining power. So in Medicare for all, like they could, like obviously, I think it is the case that they could lower medical prices from providers substantially if they really wanted to. And there's also some effect of administrative costs because there are just economies of scale in administration that you could have. So yeah.
That next to your insurance card, you had another card. And that card was your Medicare card. It came to you the day you were born. And it didn't matter if you turned 26, or get married, or get divorced, or get a job, or lose a job, that you could get healthcare with it. That's what Medicare for all is.
My uncle, he had a precarious healthcare situation, and he put off getting treatment for a while, and he ended up passing away from stomach cancer. I just think that really goes to show how far gone the system stands as it is right now.
Of all things, America does really well in cancer survival rates, and arguably too well on cancer screening. We screen so much for like cancer that like it's arguably not, like it's not actually always good to screen a fuck ton for cancer. Like of all things, bro.
Most people just put off having to do anything because the financial burden of actually getting the healthcare you need is more anxiety provoking than the possibility of being very sick. Now, the current system that we live under allows all of the corporations who make money off of our healthcare system to spend money to elect people who will then turn around and protect the industry. And they've, in effect, manufactured a bipartisan consensus that tells us we can't have guaranteed healthcare through Medicare for all. This is the question I always get. But doctor, how?
My notes are disorganized. I don't know if this one has the cancer screening stuff. I don't think it does. But like we screen a fuck ton for cancer. Oh, wait. The US does well in terms of screening for cancer. Never mind. The U.S. has the highest percentage of women who have been screened, both populations. We present evidence. The U.S. also has exceptionally high screening rates for prostate and breast cancer. Quite high in comparison to Europe. Does not provide comparative data. Also suggests the use of sigmoidoscopy, colonoscopy, and fecal occult blood test are more common in the U.S. than in Europe. High rate of screening for cancer would produce a higher prevalence of ever diagnosed cancer in a population. So does paribus. Doesn't be a high frequency screening would expect reported prevalence of diagnosed cancer to be higher than in Europe. But yeah, we screen for cancer a lot. The American healthcare system works extremely well for the vast majority of Americans. It's great. Yeah, I mean, I mostly agree.
How are you gonna pay for it? Just remember, we already paid for it. Every single dollar that goes to the back pocket of an insurance CEO, every single dollar that goes to a pharmaceutical company, every single dollar comes from where? One of our pockets. Every single one. To the back pocket of an insurance CEO, every single dollar that goes to a pharmaceutical company, every single dollar comes from where? One of our pockets. Every single one. And
okay. So what people will care about when they say, how are we going to pay for it, is how is the government going to pay for it? Because either it's going to have to raise taxes or like deficit spend, and both of those have some are technically due to senior rich, but we don't really formally do much of that. But regardless, and there are some negative implications to all of those things. Now, you can make the argument that people would pay less, on average in taxes for single-payer healthcare because it's some like cost efficiency argument where we negotiate prices down a ton, and maybe there's some administrative cost savings and such. And for one, I think that the evidence on that is like not like actually like the CBO reports. I mean, most of you guys know that the memes, okay, the administrative cost memes in there or whatever. But then there are also just negative implications from that as well. Healthcare will use monopoly power to push prices down. Doesn't produce any direct welfare gains. It's just peer transfer. The indirect welfare gains are just we can afford lower tax rates, which will produce less dead weight loss. I mean, if like the indirect, the transfer is probably like distributionarily. That cannot be a word. Positive. Its distributional effects are positive in the sense that it's more redistribution or whatever. Distributionarily. Is this a word? Oh my god, wait, it is a word. Wait, no. Wait, you would just say distribution. Just distributionally. There's no need for the airily.
And because you don't have to worry about that health insurance CEO's exorbitant salary, now all of a sudden the overhead off that system goes down. That's the vision of Medicare for All. We can have it.
All the cost savings are going to come from CEO pay reductions. Let's go. Medicare for All will only have to pay one CEO, as opposed to how many healthcare companies are there, as opposed to, you know, a couple hundred CEOs, guys.
If we actually were willing to fight for it.
My name is Lena Saad. I'm a clinical pharmacist. There's one patient that was not able to afford her oral therapy at the time, and we relied on giving her samples that we would get from drug companies, and I would literally take it and drive it to her on my way home. So how can we incorporate the pharmaceutical aspect into Medicare for All as well?
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh no.
So one of the most important things we could do is negotiate prescription drug prices. Medicare becomes a buyer of all prescription drugs on behalf of all of us. And so it can use its power purchasing on behalf of the 350 million people in this country to start bringing those rates down. Here's the other crazy thing about pharma. Almost every pharmaceutical that
it's all public innovation, true,
has had its roots in NIH-funded research.
Wow.
We did. Then some private company comes and buys the rights to this thing. Then they get to sell it back to the taxpayer at a ridiculous rate.
True. There's no steps in between there at all. There's no steps in between the basic molecular research that the NIH does and, you know, all the other research that, you know, the private sector does, which is they spend more on than the NIH budget. Like pharmaceutical research alone by private companies is more than the entire NIH budget, even before the NIH budget cuts. And not all the NIH funding goes to pharmaceutical stuff.
My mom's from Canada originally, and it seems like the motive there is to keep the people healthy.
So what we really want is prevention. I'll be honest with you, I actually agree with Maha on a lot of things. Most people are like, wait, what? They're right about a lot of the problems.
Kill me.
Solutions are batshit crazy, but they're right about a lot of the problems. I think we need to stop selling huge amounts of ultra-processed foods in ways that have us subsidizing them via a whole bunch of programs, when what we really want is people to be eating healthy foods in the first place, right? Like
wow.
The current system, let's be clear, a lot of people make a lot of money off of people getting sick.
I've been working for Ford Motor Company for 30
Kill me.
1 years now. I've had it nice being a UAW member that I've had health insurance my entire career. I find myself as a parent of a child with autism. I'm coming towards the end of my career. So that's one of my biggest fears. Would the care be in place for him? I typically hold more.
Okay, I don't know how old this dude is, but he looks...
That's one of my biggest fears. Would the care be in place for him?
Over 50, right? Like... And if you're coming to the end of your career, I don't know what that, I mean, I don't know what that means exactly. Like you qualify for Medicare at 65, 67?
We hold more libertarian views on something like this. So would we be doing like a single payer system?
It would be single payer. And what
it's 65.
I want is that the government basically guarantees your health insurance. And that allows the health.
Why do people say people will offload sick patients to a public option when we literally removed guaranteed issue in the ACA? I don't know. 6-7. What's up, Shorsky? Required. I mean, I don't know easy money.
Healthcare providers to go out.
I thought it was 62. It was 62. I don't know how they split it up by generation or whatever, but I think we've slowly raised it from 62 to 65, depending on the year you were born. And I think at some point it raises to 67 at some point. But there could only have been a proposal or something. Medicare raising to 67. The Social Security age raised to 67, but not Medicare. looks like some people want to raise it to 67.
I can provide a better service.
My boy Abdul winning on the 4th. I mean, he probably will, right?
More patients. But it shouldn't be that your health insurance says, no, here's who's in network and here's who's out of network. So you're going to go here.
Dog.
You don't like it. And I think, but it shouldn't be, and that allows the healthcare providers to go out and say, look, if I can provide a better service, then I should win more patients. But it shouldn't be that your health insurance says, no, here's who's in network. And
how do you, what's the mechanism for the providers competing if they can't, if insurance companies can't exclude anyone?
Better service, then I should win more patients. But it shouldn't be that your health insurance says, no, here's who's in network and here's who's out of network. So you're going to go here and you're going to like it. And I think there's a couple of pieces that we need to institutionalize. Number one, the governance of this system can't just change on a dime because you have a new president, right? And so the governance would have to live somewhere similar to the kind that we offer in the Fed, right? So the governance would have to...
Listen, unfortunately, our Supreme Court, it's not gonna let it happen. Just not gonna let it happen.
Sit under, but separate from the executive branch in a certain way. We're the richest, most powerful country in the history of the world. And, you know, we fight wars for no reason. But whenever we talk about providing healthcare, everyone's like, well, I don't know if we can do it. Well, it's a choice. These are policy choices. I would rather not spend $1 trillion on war. I'd rather spend that money on healthcare and schools and infrastructure.
The U.S. relationship with Israel
Brave.
has become a flashpoint in this race.
The question about Israel...
Are you pro or anti-court reform, by the way? I'm probably pro. I'm Easy Money's gonna shit on me again. Okay, I'm probably okay with adding at least 2 justices. Okay, it's probably good. And it's probably good.
Israel isn't about the theoretical right to exist of a country that exists. The question about Israel is, do they have a right to our tax dollars?
AIPAC is spending $30 million to defeat El Sayed, its largest single-race investment ever.
Too radical for Michigan, too radical for the U.S. Senate.
And his opponent, Haley Stevens, has made her commitment to Israel very clear.
No from Israel! I will continue to fight for Israel's existence. Israel comes to me in my dreams.
But most voters believe the U.S.
It was just that's what a stupid fucking thing to say, bro.
To fight for Israel's existence. Israel...
Hashtag fondle the courts. That's a good one.
The U.S. is too supportive of Israel, according to a recent AP poll. So will El Sayed's message actually get him more...
Wait, why did they highlight this? Supposed to be a bipartisan panel here.
Too supportive of Israel, according to a recent AP
poll. Why are they highlighting only Democrats?
So will El Sayed's message actually get him more votes in Michigan?
As a U.S. Senator, how would you seek to reorient?
Where's the Jewish version? There she is.
Yeah, U.S. foreign policy.
I don't believe in unconditional foreign military aid to anyone. I don't pay my taxes every year to be like, man, I can't wait for Israel to get a new tank. And then when it comes to...
Why not add 4 justices if you wanted to distort the makeup of the courts? Because I think probably there's more reason to believe 4 would be like, would lead to some larger negative consequences, would lead to the oscillation people care so much about. Whereas 2, it's just less likely to do that because it's more of a direct, sort of tit for tat thing with the McConnell stuff. Like, gosh darn, what's up, Chipringo? Welcome back, Chipringo.
Israel's own behavior.
You came in at a good time. Talking about your favorite court packing right now.
I think we need to engage them consistent with what they have done. They have perpetrated genocide. And before that, they were perpetrating apartheid, right?
Why would a conservative not run on 2 more? So, first of all, I'm not saying that they wouldn't run on that. But I think probably it's more likely that they would be, it's more likely that 1, people would be willing to do it if it was 4, both running it and actually have enough political capital to get it through. Because I don't think it's it's not incredibly obvious to me that all Republicans would agree on packing the court again. I think there are a decent number of Republicans who would not want to do it. Maybe I'm mistaken with that, but it's more likely there's going to be at least enough of an internal division in a Republican Party with 2 compared to 4. Now, I'm not I don't have super crazy. First of all, I don't have super crazy strong opinions on 2, but I also don't have super strong crazy opinions on 4. So I want to make that clear. But I think the world where Republicans run on that and have some chance of getting that through or whatever, depending on how far it goes, obviously there are cases where it wouldn't turn out to be net positive or whatever. It's probably preferable to the world we're in now, bro. I don't know. I think the immunity ruling and the 14th Amendment ruling were both just kind of crazy, and yeah, something that It's not a good world to be in.
Lobbied to move us into a war. Now they're trying to.
I like Deb's argument that they should match the number of circuits, but it would have to be a long process to meet that number. Yeah, I think if you were to do 4, you would probably want to do it over like some long enough time. Do Republicans pay any legislation ever? I don't know what you mean, pay any legislation ever. VRA was a racist law. That's not even, I didn't even express an opinion on the Voting Rights Act, did I? I said the 14th Amendment, Section 3 to 14, the insurrection one. I think that one are kind of crazy. The Colorado one, maybe I should say, and the immunity decision are both kind of little wacky, little weird. And to a lesser extent, I mean, I think like the constitutional argument is definitely stronger for this one, but the Humphreys executor as well. I think I don't know, like I'm not super well researched in the legality of that stuff or whatever, but I think it's just not a good way to run the government. And prefer that not be the case, but I don't know, not well read in the constitutional arguments there. Wait, you didn't agree with the BC decision? What's BC? I'm assuming that's the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment one. Oh, birthright citizenship? No, I mean, so all the birthright, yeah. All the justices, which part did I, do you want me to answer with respect to? It seems clear to me that illegal immigrants, even though is not permanently domiciled in the U.S., are entitled to U.S. citizenship when they are born here. The ruling decision. I did agree with so as I understand it, there were four justices that said the executive order was unconstitutional. One that said not unconstitutional, but it's against federal law. And then the rest of them said like it was constitutional and to some extent in compliance with federal law. But I think they also had differing views on precisely the nature of who was entitled to birthright citizenship, whether or not it was like illegal immigrants if they're permanently domiciled here, or whether they don't get it if they're temporarily domiciled here, and stuff of that nature. Personally, I like Gorsuch's contribution, but I didn't much care for Thomas's. I mean, I saw people making fun of Thomas's.
Annex southern Lebanon. Like, I just think that any other country.
Bro, the ruling holds, the sentence just dicta, but like I just don't know. But it's just a very like narrow, like ruling is what I'm saying. 6-3 is too much for BC. It's a clear 9-0. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like when you ask, I didn't agree whether or not I agreed with the ruling. As I understand it, the ruling was like there were multiple. I think there were still different ways of interpreting that. That's why I was like, it's not 9-0. That's why I was like, it seems like it's like 8-1 on the issue of whether illegal immigrants who are permanently domiciled here are entitled to birthright citizenship, but like only 6-3 on the like it's the executive order against the law and or unconstitutional.
That behaved that way would be treated as a rogue nation because they're violating international law.
A fear that a lot of American Jews have when they hear messaging against the state of Israel is that that is a slippery slope towards Jews don't belong in Israel-Palestine at all.
I recognize that that land is a land that a lot of people have lived on, right? The most recent inhabitants before 1948 were the Palestinian people, but also historically the Jewish people. The problem, though, is that the implicit public policy of our government.
Unless he's into, yeah, we get lefties mad at him for
people, but also historical.
Recognizing the deep roots of the Jewish people and the historical land of Israel.
The problem, though, is that the implicit public policy of our government.
Professor Day, make a video about this, please. Professor Day, please, epically own him.
Has been to aid, arm, and abet Israel's current government to the exclusion of the right to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinian people, right?
What would you say to people who are worried that withdrawing defense funding to Israel would make American Jews less safe here at home?
This idea that the things that we're doing with our tax dollars to backstop a foreign government somehow makes Jewish folk more safe here, that doesn't make sense to me. I start from a position of principle, which is to say that Jewish Americans are not the same as AIPAC in Israel, that Jewish Americans deserve to live their lives
brave,
unfettered, and unencumbered by discrimination or hate, and that we have to fight together to build an America where...
Whoa, you're saying we should hate and discriminate against AIPAC in Israel? That's what I'm hearing.
That anti-Semitism is stamped out.
There is the largest Arab American community here in Michigan, and mostly are from the southern Lebanon. My dad is building this dream home for all of us as brothers or sisters, and it vanished in a couple of seconds, and the soldiers were laughing about demolishing the whole village. As an American citizen, I'm paying taxes for this government to bomb and kill us for what?
I appreciate you lifting your voice, and I'm sorry about your family's experience.
Man, they really stuck him. They really stuck him in a hard place here. Okay, why is this the issue of worker union is mean to him on, bro? They get all these people who are like all in favor of like Medicare for all, but it's like we gotta get like some crazy pro-Israel person and like some crazy pro-Palestinian person, or I don't want to call either of them crazy necessarily, but like a clearly pro-Israel Jewish person and a clearly pro-Palestinian. I don't know if I think he said he's from Lebanon, right?
Experience about demolishing home for all of us as, and most
that anti-Semitism
southern Lebanon. My dad as
southern Lebanon.
And, what is happening in southern Lebanon right now is frankly an abomination. I intend to be a voice in the U.S. Senate to consistently advocate for our principles, and that we apply them everywhere, and that we apply them consistently.
Do you think that it's harder to change things, so we're not being proactive anymore? Like it's easier just to let things keep going, like Israel, AIPAC? Is it just the easy way out?
I think money in politics is
threatening a system of power that says you just go along.
Oh yeah, it's because because you can't threaten a system of power. This is every Israel debate, by the way. Checking Philaronis versus their bombs dad's house versus they I can't speak versus their bomb. They bombed my dad's house out of existence. Well, obviously there's actually I think the Jubilee video had basically the same memes, yeah, but yeah, there's obviously a power imbalance there that leads to that.
The real issue in our politics is not right versus left. It's not like progressive versus conservative. It's not Democrat, Republican. It's people who are locked out of our healthcare, our housing, our economy, versus the people doing the locking out. I just want to always be on the side
there we go.
out of the people who are locked out.
We basically got a top versus bottom.
In theory, my opponent in this
just not in gay terms, unfortunately.
Race is Haley Stevens. My real opponent in this race is Chuck Schumer, every corporate
in Israel.
AIPAC. They will run your name in the mud. They will lie about you. They will lie about their opponent. It doesn't matter as long as they maintain a control on power.
One of the biggest attacks on El Sayed right now is that he will lose to Republican Mike Rogers. The Democratic establishment thinks that Stevens' ties to the Obama administration and her history as a U.S. representative since 2018 make her a safer bet. But recent polls slightly favor El Sayed's chances against Rogers.
I haven't decided who I'm going to vote for sure.
I don't have a strong opinion on it. What's the poly market? What's poly market say? That's my opinion. The market forecast is better than mine. Okay.
I do think Stevens polls a lot better with like the older demographic who are much more likely to vote. I think Haley would have a better chance to beat him.
Does that impact how you're going to decide to vote?
Yes, for sure. When it comes to being against Mark Rogers, I want to hear how you can get your message out to people when you are facing these odds of people spending millions and millions of dollars that you don't necessarily have.
You beat Mike Rogers because you build something that embodies the hope and the joy that you want to have for the future. This is a guy who voted to raise prescription drug prices I don't know how many times. Then he helped to architect the opioid epidemic. He took $700,000 from the farm industry.
Poly market ends up dueling, but in the general, I know he's like fucking 80-90% favored to win the primary. Okay, well this is just showing me Democrat or Republican. Oh yeah, but he's 96.8%. And yeah, the general's 60 for them. I don't know, following though since like the 18th and stuff, so clearly obviously related to Abdullah Saeed. She ignored this little blip when we went down.
Whole lot of money trying to call me some combination between a communist and a...
Kashi is a per candidate one.
And I'm going to sit out there and be like, yeah, well...
Might need to get a bet against Abdul.
No, I get it.
Oh, look, there's no way it's open for Stevens.
I'm Muslim.
Oh.
I got a name you probably can't pronounce, right? But I was born and raised here. And I've taken the time to serve.
You're saying the market hasn't reached the efficient outcome, Charsky?
And listen, so I think that's how we beat him.
I do question his ability to win against a Republican. I feel that some of his beliefs turn off a large portion of the population. Listening to his comments that he would like to abolish ICE, I have a hard time with that.
I'm Abdullah Saeed, the only Senate candidate for abolishing ICE, and I approve this message.
A lot of people in this room abolish ICE is one where they are a little bit confused about what it means. Lena, you expressed some questions.
Karl Marx, please help us.
I think we can put ICE to better use to protect our borders and protect Americans. How can we draw that fine line between utilizing this federal agency versus allowing them to go rogue as they've done recently?
Here's the thing.
I mean, ICE is an internal enforcement. They don't really protect the border, quote unquote. But
I've run government agencies, and once they take on a certain culture, it's really hard to change the culture. Really, really, really hard. So under Trump, he started to recruit people who specifically came to ICE, not to specifically enforce immigration policy, but they're against immigration.
The chuds.
Subtext of this.
The chuds.
Donald Trump sold this fallacy to people where he understood that people weren't paying. You're out of a job. You're out of a home. You can't afford your healthcare. And his answer was a simple one. Well, you're out of a job because...
So he's pro-global warming? Who is? What?
Out of a home, immigrants living in your home. Out of healthcare, immigrants get healthcare. And so,
I get it. Sorry. That took me way too long to get.
So he turned immigrants into the answer to everybody's problems. And then he built out ICE as a way of demonizing immigration itself. ICE itself has become a rogue agency based on a premise that is inconsistent with both the Constitution and the ideals of our country. We don't need it. In fact, we didn't have it before 2002. America's a lot older than 2002. So the notion that we can't protect our southern border or we can't enforce immigration policy without ICE is just not true. You get rid of the agency, you fire all the people in it, and then you ask yourself, what would you want to build that actually achieved the goals that we have? To keep a safe and secure southern border, to create a very clear pathway to citizenship for people, right? And in the cases where you have people who should not be here and do bad things, that you are very targeted in your enforcement, rather than making a show out of enforcing to tell all immigrants that they don't belong here.
That's very, very enlightening. Thank you.
Because I think this goes to like ICE and other things that like our politics are so black and white. How do you change that narrative? Because we need to recognize each other as like people.
Oh no. Does he want to change that narrative? Does he want to change that narrative, bro?
The problem with too many Democrats is it's too easy to point and say, I'm against Trump. You should vote for me. And you're like, well, from a policy standpoint, are you really for me?
Yeah.
You're taking money from all the worst people. So what would happen if we actually built a movement about what could be?
The problem is Democrats have exactly zero credibility on immigration control. Based if true.
When we can start talking to folks.
We didn't have entitlements for the first 100+ years of our country. Let's get rid of those too. I mean, I think like there are some. Well, no, I don't like it. I'm just gonna go to my point. Okay, I'm not gonna give the steel man. Okay, so I think the argument that people make, or like the thing they're responding to, is like, oh, this would be like catastrophic or something. Like if we got rid of it, like ICE or just some types of border enforcement in general, and by showing them there's a long period in the past where it's like there were not these things, but things like weren't catastrophic in the way you're suggesting, like that is evidence against the point of them being catastrophic. I think for entitlements, I mean, the case is just kind of clearer that the outcomes were, when I say catastrophic with respect to the thing that like entitlements are meant to sort of protect against in the past. Like it's not just like making a general argument that like anything we didn't have in the past is not necessary, but it's just like pointing out like, oh, even when we had open borders or whatever, like things were not as catastrophic as people suggest. But like I'm actually open borders, but we can't have a free stuff sign out or out front. We can't have both. I mean, if you really care about it, I just like maybe you do support this video, but like I don't know, it's just like so many like anti-immigration people will like bring up things that are you could just kind of like easily address by like either like just don't give immigrants the benefits of like entitlements, like just only grant them access to like a fully funded account maybe, right? Or just like, oh, you know, I'm just like really concerned about national IQ. Okay, so it's just like let everyone in with the IQ above a certain threshold, but like almost no one who's like anti-immigration actually supports what those things imply. But I don't know, maybe you do. Jefferson would have hated our modern version of citizenship, but he would have hated the government safety nets. Jefferson was limited by the econometrics of his time. I've said this.
Who might have voted for Trump for a whole bunch of different reasons to be like, all right, is your life better now? Do you have better healthcare? Do you have better access to a job? Can you afford a home? If no, here's an opportunity. Let's focus on that, right? So I just really appreciate you guys having this conversation that's like the lifeblood of what we do in our civics, and it's really enlightening. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
Did Abdul change your mind on any issues?
Yeah, definitely on the ICE issue.
I think the way that Abdul spoke about Medicare for all, as far as it being plausible and a tangible goal, was pretty enlightening, and I plan to vote for Abdul.
Okay, well now I'm mixed if he's net positive or not.
Abdul did change my mind about what I feel like I can expect from a politician who really believes what they say.
Him taking a stance on something, even if it's strong and people consider it maybe too strong, I think taking a stance means something.
It's an election. Anybody could lose. Haley Stevens could lose. And I'd rather, vote for somebody who I agree with on their policy points rather than somebody who I just think is against Trump. I've got my mail-in ballot at home. I'm going to go home and fill it out and mail it in for Abdul El-Sayed.
The narrative in
Oh no, he admitted to mail-in ballots. Ballot already voided, already intercepted. Okay, already.
the media is that El-Sayed's policies are too radical to win.
AIPAC has already electronically changed his written mail-in ballot.
These voters, who largely distrust both parties, his ideas broke through. El-Sayed won't be able to sit down with every skeptical voter in the state, though. So I asked him what he thinks his path to victory in November actually looks like.
You talk to a bunch of voters.
Okay, I don't care. Jefferson believed in the natural right to associate and travel freely. Whoa. I mean, what do you mean he would have hated our... When you say he would have hated our modern version of citizenship, you mean he would have been like more... like he's more open borders? I assumed you were kind of referring to the opposite direction of that, but you might not have been. Patriots already exchanging your ballot in a write-in ballot for sample text. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. Do I want to do more of these memes, bro? There's only 8 pages. I'm going to read this so I can feel productive, and then I can do slop and play Palworld. After sample is done, they'll be calling Michigan Big St. James Island. The good timeline. The good timeline. I'm going to run for mayor of my town, which I actually don't think I can do because I don't live in an incorporated town. So I'm going to run for commissioner of my county. And I'm going to campaign on renaming it to Big St. James County. I'll win. I'll win. I'll get the chud votes, I bet. I'll get the ironic chud votes. So, there's that. You should run for treasurer. True. True. I don't even know if that's an elected position on the county level. Like, I bet there's, I bet it's like appointed. And I don't know if anyone has a formal role treasurer, but we might. I don't want to reveal what county I live in. You guys could probably figure out if you really wanted to, but I'm looking it up. Does not have a traditional treasurer's office. Instead, financial collection and tax duties are handled by the tax department. I can join the tax department. Job openings. Airport administrative assistant. Certified nursing assistant. Why? Oh, this is just like all job openings. I thought it was going to be like openings in the tax department, but I think this is just a list of all job openings. Water pollution control plant mechanic. Bet I could get that one. Head coach / assistant coach. $0 annually. It's volunteer. Okay. This. So I scrolled up and I read this come insight, and I was like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyways. JK, much love. Real. Should I become resident of NC and vote here instead of Ohio? Probably not, actually, because isn't Ohio's governor race gonna... Well, no, but we have Roy Cooper here, actually, for Senate. So So yes, actually, you should do that and then vote for Roy Cooper for the Senate. Illicit flows and trade misinvoicing. Are you looking under the same lamppost? Illicit financial flows have become a high-profile issue in recent years. The suitable development goals include a target 16.4, significantly reduce illicit financial flows and arm flows, strengthening the recovery and return of stolen assets, and combat all forms of organized crimes. And the issue has been included in the Addis Ababa action agenda in the work of the G20 and OECD. Donors including NORAD and DFID, and multilateral organizations such as the World Bank and African Development Bank are also responding. Thanks, YouTube censor, bro. You should fit perfectly in with such pencil pushing hellhole. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's unironically true. I take it as a compliment, not an insult. Large estimates of trade misinvoicing have played a key role in shaping perceptions of the issue. The Washington-based NGO Global Financial Integrity uses mismatches in official trade data to estimate that the misinvoicing drains $800 billion US dollars. That's what that is, from developing countries annually. The work also inspired UNECA and the African Union to set up a high-level panel on illicit financial flows from Africa, which estimated $50 billion of illicit flows from Africa. Based on these estimates, not gonna try, as chair of the panel, argue that the bulk of illicit financial flows, 60% or more, derive from the activities of large commercial companies through trade misinvoicing, with criminal activities such as drug trafficking accounting for about 30% and corruption less than 10%. Doesn't the treasurer lead the board meetings in NC? You would make a great moderator. That's true. Bro, I think NC is like gerrymandered as fuck though, so I think I'd have to be hard to get elected to any like statewide office from where I am. Have to really, or even appointed, I probably, but have to really try to shake some hands, grease some wheels. Because we are like actually insanely fucking gerrymandered. You know what I should do? I wonder if I could do this for the midterms. I don't think I can. They could in 2028. Most of the oh shit, I don't know. I don't think I could register as a Democrat though. But most of the statewide offices in NC are just like uncontested Republican. Like when I went to vote in 2024, it was like the president, contested, obviously. Attorney General was contested, and then like almost everything else was just like uncontested Republican. So I should just like register, but I think you would need to hit a certain threshold to register as a Democrat. I don't know what the requirements would be, but I bet there's got to be some signature requirement to get on the ballot at all and stuff. But I bet it'd be harder to get on as a Democrat. But I bet if I got in as a Democrat, a lot of people would just like down ballot vote me, and I would get like 20%. I think I could get 20% of the vote, doing no work at all other than just like signing up. You would need to find some rich dude to fund a committee to elect non-fawn. It could be done. It could be done. With as much as I defend capitalism, it better be willing to defend me, bro. Manipulation of import and export prices is certainly a real phenomenon. In China, overpayments of imports have been used to get around the country's currency controls. In Venezuela, scammers use inflated import invoices to buy cheap dollars from the official currency control agency. There have long been concerns that exporters shipping tropical hardwoods from Papua New Guinea may be under-declaring their value. Networks involved in smuggling people, drugs, and arms use halawa agents to transfer money, and they may settle up between themselves through shipments of illicit goods under charge. However, it is not clear that the influential and widely quoted estimates of trade misinvoicing derived from mismatches in trade statistics help us understand the reality of illicit economies and networks in practice. This briefing looks at some of the key problems with these estimates and argues that continuing to use them as such a bright point of light in reshaping our understanding could impede rather than support targeting the targeting of effective action in combating corruption, organized crime, illegal exploitation of natural resources, and tax evasion. Okay, what are illicit flows? Most common definition, they are international financial transfers linked to illegal activities. Is Sharky a communist? I think he self-describes this one, yeah. He's definitely a leftist, at least. Motivation ranges from hiding the proceeds of grand corruption to drug trafficking to evasion to an individual evading currency controls in order to transfer money to pay for their daughter's university tuition. Means of making international payments include bank transfers and money transfer services, cash or gold smuggled across borders, transfers of ownership of stocks and shares. Illicit financial flows tend to use secrecy or deceit to hide illicit transactions amongst ordinary international transfers, to make funds difficult to trace, and to move money into secret bank accounts and shell companies, for example, by invoicing for fictitious consulting fees undertaken to back mere trades of stocks and shares, or misdeclaring the value of goods. Different means of illicit transfer do not map neatly onto different motives. Nevertheless, it is important to note that illicit flow is driven by different reasons or associated with different impacts. A dollar of money from grand corruption is a direct diversion of resources from the public purse and causes many more dollars of damage through undermining public institutions and providing a slush fund for maintaining political power. Each dollar of criminal money, such as that associated with organized crime, drug trafficking, or terrorism, is also associated with a hinterland of damage through violence and financing a conflict, and often damage to the environment. Using offshore transactions to hide legitimate earnings for the purpose of tax evasion is clearly a form of illicit flow. However, it is not the whole face value of the illicit flow that is diverted from public money. In countries with strict capital controls, illicit flows can be associated with evading capital controls. This can be motivated by concerns about financial instability or predatory government, or by a desire to access international investment and consumption. This should not be conflated with the theft of public money or loss of investment funds. However, if it might be argued that if it reduces the stakes of elites in ensuring property rights and development at home. Well, the trouble with the big estimates. There are two problems with using the large estimates of trade misinvoicing to represent illicit financial flows. The first is methodological. Not all trade misinvoicing shows up as mismatches in the trade data, and conversely, not all mismatches in trade data are evidence of misinvoicing. The second is that they are largely and seemingly detailed. The large and seemingly detailed estimates may attract attention away from other areas of illicit flows for which no such estimates exist. While the methodological problem is acknowledged in the literature, it is often ignored when calculations are translated into high-level findings. This was illustrated clearly in 2016 when the UN Conference on Trade and Development published a study on trade misinvoicing of commodities under the headline, "Some countries are losing 67% of the value of their exports." It highlighted specific instances which were presented as showing the scale of misinvoicing, but in practice show ordinary differences in the way countries categorize trade and can generate large false positive estimates. Two cases are highlighted here. Are these just a few individual cases which can be safely viewed as outliers, or should they lead us to question whether the broader misinvoicing estimates are meaningful? Man is searching for car keys under a lamppost. After joining a search, you ask whether he is sure that this is where he lost his keys. No, I'm pretty sure I lost them. Down the road, he says. He replies, but the light is better here. Wow. All of South Africa's gold exports smuggled out each year. The UN, I'm just going to say UNCAT, the UN study, I'm going to say UN study, look at mismatches between the gold exports of South Africa reports as South Africa reports its exports to other countries and the amount of South African gold those countries say they import. There's a large discrepancy, and this was interpreted as suggesting that South Africa was the victim of a massive smuggling scam, where virtually all gold exported by South Africa leaves the country unreported, giving rise to the 67% statistic above. However, South Africa's trade statistics explain the country does not yet report gold exports broken down by destination. Furthermore, up until 2011, gold was reported as a monetary export rather than a manufactured commodity, which explains the mismatch with the importer records. The Revenue Service, the Chamber of Mines, and the Official Statistics Agency all issued statements arguing that the analysis was flawed. Zambian copper stealing Africa. Copper is one of Zambia's main exports. Trade statistics show that the more copper is exported from Zambia to Switzerland than the UK then arrives in these destinations, but more Zambian copper arrives in destinations such as China, Korea, and Italy and Saudi Arabia than Zambia reports as exports to them. The UN report interprets this as under and over invoicing in two directions. However, it seems more readily explainable by mercanting trade involving companies in Switzerland and the UK, and by London-bound metals exchange systems of bonded warehouses. Being a man is good because you know all of your achievements are because of you. If I was a woman, I'd be paranoid about whether I got where I did because people wanted to sleep with me. Good to know. Wow. Oh, what do you want me? What do you want me to say? Trump is getting rid of the CRA. Is he trying to lose my support? The CRA? The Congressional Review Act? Or Community Reinvestment Act, sorry. Community Reinvestment Act. That makes more sense, yeah. Wasn't his fucking, what was the name of the thing he did in his first term for the cities that offer certain cities tax breaks and such, and like investment subsidies? Fuck, what was it? Is this not just like some version of that? Became an onerous tax on community banks that failed to drive investment into the very regions they might deserve. Today's proposed reforms will help ensure that CRA no longer used as a social credit score for banks, nor as a funding mechanism for activist NGO networks under the guise of community development. Okay, cool. Fuck, what was the name? If I just look up Trump cities investment subsidies. Program. Opportunity zones. I'm thinking of these. I remember these. I remember him doing that. GFI agrees that not every unrecorded transaction is illicit, but argues that a vast majority of unrecorded mismatched transactions are illicit. However, this has not been tested. UNCTAD says that this is what our data has shown us. We do not see a convincing challenge to the source of our data, Comtrade, the data itself, or even a methodology. However, UN statistics and the IMF warn that trade data cannot be reliably used in this way. The IMF says We caution against attempting to measure illicit flows by using discrepancies in macroeconomic data sets. Official estimates of trade misinvoicing cannot be derived from transforming trade data from the IMF trade statistics and or UN Comtrade, either by individuals, country, or in aggregate. No, fuck. Well, it may not be possible to so clearly reveal the patterns behind misinvoicing estimates in every country. In the cases of South Africa, UK, and Zambia, Italy, as shown below, it appears that the vast majority of mismatch is durable within the comprehensive direction of trade statistics, which GFI uses for its annual estimates, can be explained by false positive results for single commodities, gold and copper, respectively. However, similar issues are also likely to contribute to the high-level panel's calculation of 50 billion from Africa. For example, the second largest category in the HLP study was precious metals and minerals, with 98% of this from South African Customs Union, suggesting that South African gold heir plays a part. The largest contributor to the HLP estimates is oil, where it's particularly difficult to interpret data mismatches due to the liquid nature of the product and its price volatility. Oil may be traded on a route from its country of origin, with the price rising or falling in between, and can be held in bonded warehouses and blended before it is delivered to its final destination. One further clue that ordinary merchant is it this pronounced merchanting? Merchanting and transit trade involving international hubs may be significant in generating trade misinvoicing. Estimates can be seen from the overall pattern of goods trade reported globally. Well, there are significant mismatches between exports and imports imported by pairs of country. Oh my God, I can't speak. By pairs of countries. It is striking that globally, imports and exports track each other closely, falling within a 10% margin conventionally allowed for the cost of transport and insurance overall. Well, why would billions of dollars over and under invoicing cancel each other out so neatly each year so as to appear invisible? It is hard to imagine how this would happen if the data mismatches mainly reflect separate hidden frauds carried out by disparate entities to move money across borders. For example, if Russian business organizations businessmen are organized to overpay for imports as a means to illicitly transfer funds offshore, there's no reason why another unrelated illicit transfer somewhere else should make an underpriced import or overpriced export for the same amount. However, this pattern of over and under invoicing netting out neatly is consistent with matches that would be expected from merchanting and transit trade along commodity supply chains. For example, in the Zambian copper case, a shipment of copper from Zambia to Italy by a Swiss trader would result in a mismatch of data between Zambia and Switzerland and an equal and opposite mismatch between Zambia and Italy. These observations provide concrete illustrations for the general problem with the big estimates. Volker Nitsch in the paper $1 Trillion Estimate, Illicit Financial Flows from Developing Countries reviews the empirical methodology more broadly. I feel like I have this downloaded. But am I not? This is over my head. Why are you reading this? Does it confirm or contradict my priors? Explain. This would confirm your priors. Fuck. Because it means Africa's not evilly exploited. He concludes that the quantitative results may have no substantive meaning, and that therefore the estimates of 800 million of trade misinvoicing globally lacks evidence and is uncorroborated. Illicit flows are, by their nature, difficult to identify, and this first generation of estimates have played a critical role in drawing attention to the issue. Great work. This is obviously true. Difficulties in the measurement do not mean that the problem of trade misinvoicing or broader illicit flow should be dismissed, or that it challenges governance of natural resources. Resource revenue should be underestimated. But continuing to circle around the most conventional lamppost provided by these big numbers is unlikely to lead to fruitful results. Challenging these estimates is not an argument for no action on illicit flows, nor is it a quest for impossible accuracy, but is an urgent call for a more realistic conversation that draws in the expertise of revenue authorities, statistical agencies, customs agencies, law enforcement, and businesses, as well as experiments in natural resource governance and organized crime. Experts. There are 4 areas which are particularly relevant. 1. Understanding domestic realities. Not fun. You need to tell your partner to get back to me about talking about socialism. I can do that, I guess. I don't know if my push is gonna get him to do that. Well, he talked to that West Side Tyler guy about it a little bit, but they didn't talk about it that much. It was mostly dumb shit. Domestic studies are critical to understanding the impact of illicit finance on development. Such research is being undertaken in Kenya, Tanzania, West Africa, and South Africa, for example. However, the catalyst for these studies has often been the existence of massive commodity trade misinvoicing. This creates attention as the evidence that they find may challenge rather than provide confirmation of the received wisdom. Mere trade statistics may provide one source for data for national studies, but they cannot be viewed as clear evidence of misinvoicing. And studies need to develop findings which are recognizable to practitioners. Enabling learning from across these studies about how to analyze illicit flows on the ground is a crucial step to support for international understanding, measuring international progress. Okay, I might not need to read some of this stuff. The UN has so far been able to reach agreement about an SDG indicator on illicit flows. The wished for indicator has been total value of inward and outward illicit financial flows. However, it is critically clear that this indicator does not exist, cannot be calculated, is unlikely to be meaningful given the range of impacts of different illicit financial flows. Individual country analysis should feed into understanding of where third countries are acting as getaway vehicles and how this can be best addressed. Okay, blah, blah, blah. This I care about. Charge gets a future North victim. Listen, it's North isn't here right now, I don't believe. In fairness, I'm not seeing North do particularly well in those style of debates. I feel like he mostly talks about snarky stuff these days. I don't even know if he would disagree with that. He's like mostly snarky stuff. Regardless. Okay, trade misinvoicing is often confused with profit shifting or transfer pricing by multinational companies, and therefore a conclusion has been drawn that the tax is the main motivation for the majority of illicit flows, or that multinational corporations are the chief culprits. However, the situation where a multinational company and the tax authority disagree on arm's length pricing is different from a situation where transfer pricing is used to illicitly divert payments into anonymous shell companies in order to pay bribes, embezzle funds, or evade taxes. This is not only unlawful, but in a public company would mean hiding funds from shareholders. The argument has to be put forward that the definition of illicit flow should be explicitly expanded to include legal tax avoidance or tax optimization by multinational companies on the basis that it is socially damaging. The high-level panel, the UN independent expert on the effects of foreign debt and other related international financial obligations on human rights, and the Civil Society Financial Transparency Coalition all call for such a normative definition. The South African government has argued against, saying that tax avoidance should be distinguished from fraudulent, illegal, and fictitious transactions. Okay, quantity value chain is clear. The extractive sector's prone to leakages, if inflated expectations of massive hidden margins can contribute to policy instability, undermine government accountability. Issues such as, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, this part I don't think. From how to tax global commerce effectively is different from how to find corrupt or stolen money or to fight organized crime. Strengthening administration and tax laws so that neither is weakly enforced nor capricious capricious and predatory. It's positive for citizens, businesses, and governments, and ultimately crucial for DBCFT. Literally fixes this. Okay, other literature stuff. Whoa. Woohoo. Okay. W. And then this stuff is longer, more nerdy. Not going to do right now. Lame. Point is, this study's bad. Many reasons why it's bad. It's barely even on it. It's just a report, not a study. And I think anyone who cited is stupid, and I'm talking specifically to the girl, I don't remember her name. It's like Kobe on TikTok or something. Whatever. The guy girl David talked to. I got slop to do. What slop do we want? What's she cite? It's this, I showed it earlier on stream. This Honest Accounts thing. Honest Accounts 2017 by a bunch of people. And she said, this shows that the West is exploiting Africa and taking more money out than they're putting in. Is it wrong for the same reason Hegel stuff is? No, it's wrong for dumber reasons. It's like, no, Hegel stuff is better than this. So I think, I mean, I went over the issues I had earlier in stream. One, I just think that like this, it doesn't really make sense to do this type of accounting without some either like model that has welfare implications, or at least some account of like which transactions are autonomous and which ones are accommodative, because you can just like take, like, obviously the balance of payments is necessarily going to be equal to zero, so anything that's not equal to zero, anything that has a net anything is like necessarily a sub, like just different accounts within it. So you need like some justification for like why you're including some and not the others and such, and they don't really do that. And then you need some like model by which you can actually get some type of like welfare effect from the stuff. They don't really have that either. They just like kind of have this stuff and they're like, it's net negative. And two, they're not really so they do things like these like climate adaptation costs and like climate migration costs. And this is all stuff that like, I don't think is entirely unfair in principle to include, but these are not like, so this is not like expenditures by governments or anything. This is just like the estimated like financial cost overall, like to Africa or whatever. But these are like things that are not actually like expenditures or outflows or whatever. They're like spillovers from like other stuff the West is doing. But then on the like inflow side, they're not including any like positive spillovers from stuff like this like all of this stuff is like actual like money inflows, when you could, you know, include all the things that aren't actual money inflows, or like the potential positive spillovers from FDI or like loans to government and such. And that might have some offsetting effect on this. Right. And then also, or even like, it's like they have brain drain here, right? And it's like the people who like leave Africa, like just don't just like do nothing to benefit Africa ever again once they leave somewhere. Like we have, like there's that study I remember reading from like a Nicholas Decker piece. Now in fairness, this is not going to be, think about all the spillover from Western farmer research. Exactly. I remember Kobe was citing EPI against NAFTA on TS. Oh no. Oh no. She's read Robert E. Scott. Yeah. Oh boy. Not surprising. But, you know, like there's a study like from Europe or whatever that finds like there are like researchers who leave Europe and go to like the US, and like the research gains don't just all flow to the US. There are like some research gains that also go to Europe. So you have to consider that. Now, in fairness, I would expect there to be like less of that to Africa, just because they don't have their own like domestic research industry of the same type that the benefits could probably spill over to as easily. But, you know, things of that nature. And then the biggest, so this big thing here, the biggest individual outflow category, illicit international flows, is just not Right. Literally, I don't want to say most of this overall, but a lot of this just represents a lot of the things we read. So, for example, just the fact that South Africa's domestic government didn't properly publish statistics about gold exports in the COM trade data format meant that there was a big mismatch between the amount of gold South Africa was reportedly exporting versus the amount of gold other countries were reportedly getting from South Africa. When that mismatch wasn't really there, it's just like an actual data issue. And the fact that there's just issues with, they call it mercantilizing trade or whatever, but sometimes when a good runs through like an intermediary country, it doesn't get properly accounted for just between the two individual countries that you're looking at. It can distort the statistics there, which is why the global mismatch is not that big. It falls within the 10% margin that 10% margin that we think accounts for just like insurance cost and transportation costs and such. And I mentioned this at the beginning of stream too, but it's interesting. The source they relied on here, which it's not letting me click on, they themselves eventually admitted this in like literally their next report. This is the GFI list of financial flow in developing countries 2004 to 2013, published in 2015, which I think is I've downloaded it somewhere, but regardless, literally the next report that they put out in 2017, they had admitted that flaw. And they were like, actually, it's actually not useful for the purposes that they were using it for. And then for some reason, they never wrote into their honest accounts paper. GFI notes that its most recent report, and this is the report 2005 to 2014, which is, a year after the data they were using. Irreconcilable issues in the destination reporting of Zambia's copper exports and South Africa's gold exports distort bilateral estimates and misinvoicing to such a degree that bilateral estimations and misinvoicing for these countries are of little practical use. And there's other related issues with it. Those are just like, that's like just a good like representative thing of like how like such a simple like data issue thing can distort the fuck out of the data there. Can we get hashtag debate non-fun Covey trending on Twitter? So I'm getting DMs from unknown sources. Okay, what? I never watched this stuff. It's all TSA stuff, bro, and I can only handle so much of it. But I do have Powell to help get me through it, I guess. North is on this panel, and so is Ethan. I don't know what Ethan's opinion is actually on this stuff.
Please start. Hi, I'm Alice at Cheese Right Show. I believe tankies are a problem in the Democratic Party. I think they're fundamentally illiberal, and I think a lot of well-meaning progressives don't understand the kind of threat they're facing, especially when they try to be in spaces they consider like a local DSA chapter party or whatever. And they have a lot of people in their circles who are very dangerous and don't respect minorities.
Great, thank you. Going to the right on my screen. Ethan, could you please go?
Yeah, howdy. My name is Ethan, handle at unofficially Ethan, and it's an objective fact that tankies are trying to hijack the left wing or the Democratic Party. And this proves to be a real threat to us as people who actually do champion things like...
I was low-key half expecting Ethan to have the opposite opinion just because he it's like a decently progressive dude from everything I know, and he mostly just debates right-wing people
the rights of minorities, right? People who want to actually progress society in ways that are beneficial towards like human well-being, and allowing someone like Hassan to go in interviews with like a Mao outfit is literally on the same level of like imagine like JD Vance or someone, I don't know, someone else going on an interview with like a Hitler mustache. And the fact that we have vice presidents in notorious college organizations.
What do we think of Dean and Parker? I or W? Oh, L, I'm assuming. I mean, I think like they're like net positive overall probably, but I think they have like a little bit of silly. What's up, by the way, Factually Active? Welcome back, or welcome in, actually, first time chatter. They're probably net positive overall. They probably get people to vote for Democrats. It's probably good that like my younger fucking brother gets Dean on his Instagram feed and I talk shit about Trump because of it, right? It's probably not good, but they're just like, I don't know, I find a lot of their stuff kind of cringe. I don't know, they have a lot of kind of cringe econ takes, and Parker, that's kind of especially surprising. I don't know if surprising is the right word, but surprising because he has a oops, fuck, I hit the wrong button. Has a econ degree technically, and then I don't know how to phrase this. I don't like the TikTok style of debating that a lot of the TikTok people have, especially if they like only debate on TikTok. And Julie, Parker is fine. Voltaire is greater. Voltaire, my bro. What's up, Bulldogs? TikTok is behind. Real.
That represent Democrats, covering on behalf of someone like Hassan, is the rhetorical equivalent of having a Hitler mustache, except for Mao, is absolutely insane. This is a real threat that needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
Thank you. Going around. North, could you please introduce yourself and give your position?
Hey, I'm Ryan, otherwise known as North Online. You can find me at YouTube at youtube.com/NorthIsLive. Yeah.
I like Dean, but he's a scumbag, behaved dishonestly in a reply to NTT. There is also the vegan stuff, which I think they're wrong on, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. And he has meme args against Trump as well, pretty much low-level analysis of IP as well. It's not even like, I don't, they're like clearly educated on some stuff or whatever, but like, I feel a lot of the TikTok style debate is like, just feels very rhetoric maxi to me, very dialogue tree stuff. It's not like they're not wrong on a lot of things, and they like are clearly to some degree like knowledgeable about stuff, but like they're just, I don't know, like I said, a lot of it like dialect tree and rhetoric stuff, and not very open to discussing anything beyond the I don't want to say the dialect trees they have memorized, but the stuff they're like very comfortable doing and such. Code is code is code, therefore AI is code. True. What do you think of the implications? The implication would be if America was, say, 30% Muslim. I mean, like, what type of Muslim? It's gonna depend. But like, I don't know. Like if the point is just like the thing I've said 100 times that it, like I agree with, like, yeah, there is some degree of like, you know, constraint or like culture constraint or whatever on the amount of immigration you can support. I agree in principle that is the case. He dumped his buddy Harry over nothing as well. Oh, that's, I totally forgot about that stuff. Yeah, that really shows he is interpersonally scummy. And that reminded me too, the fucking oh my god, the Starbucks thing or whatever. Or I think on the Unfuck America tour, Z like asked if people want a Starbucks or whatever, and Dean like gave them his Starbucks order and said, yeah, I'll take this. And then they gave him the Starbucks cup, and he said, no, like I can't be seen in a Starbucks cup. And it's like okay, so like clearly like you just care about this, like you know, like looking progressive or whatever. Like you're not actually like principally opposed to like buying Starbucks. And I don't really think that like you should be. I thought that was an unverified story though. I mean, I don't have particular reason to doubt it. It's not, I don't think it's like any, it's not like particularly strong evidence. Like there's no recording of it, I don't believe, or anything, but like I don't have any particular reason to doubt it. So depending on what you mean by unverified, sure, but like, you know, I don't think you I don't like fault him for not being principally opposed to buying Starbucks, right? Like I don't, that's not a crazy view. I'm not principally opposed to buying Starbucks, other than non-vegan Starbucks, obviously. But the fact that he's concerned with the look there, like, bro. I don't know if Dean's denied it or not.
I think it's pretty clear that tankies are starting to gain some momentum within the Democratic Party. Where this comes from, we can talk about it. I think it's probably due to some sort of reciprocal radicalization, as well as this general misunderstanding about like left-right dynamic and when it should be like liberal versus illiberal, and we'll get into that. So,
thank you. Moving on, Alish, could you please introduce yourself and state your position?
Hello, my name is Alish, and
Starbucks thing was hilarious, though. I know. I mean, it's really.
I definitely believe that the DSA party overall is a problem for democracy. I've gone through their website and read all their core beliefs, and it essentially reminds me of the equivalent of when I become school president, I'm going to put soda in all the water fountains and make homework illegal. It essentially just like boils down to that for me. They're making a lot of promises and a lot of things that are kind of like contradictory, and a lot of the promises that they're making are essentially like a Trumpism to me. Like they're standing up making all these promises, and I hardly think that they're going to keep even one or two of them. So essentially, I find that, and this might be a little bit controversial, but I find that
Why they get all people who agree?
maybe some DSA policies can work in a microcosm, such as like very isolated, but overall it's not going to work for like large scale.
Great, thank you. Also making it there, we can come back and circle on this about whether or not we're going to define DSA as being tankies, or like what's the scope of the problem, or the scope of like who are we classifying as a group of concern within the Democratic Party. But we can come back to that. Thanks so much. Rounding us off for introductions, Wick, could you please introduce yourself and tell us what your position is?
Yeah, as stated, my name is Wick. I'm at Wick TV on most platforms. I think that for far too long, people have downplayed the threat that illiberalism and illiberal actors are to the Democratic Party. In order to defeat Trump, many people within the party have decided to open the doors and open the tent to arsonists. People whose stated goals are to either burn the party down and build something new in its ashes, or to fundamentally change the face of the Democratic Party so that it is no longer a liberal institution or a liberal group. I think that these things are existential in nature, and while I would disagree with anyone who would characterize that these people have already taken over the party, they have not. This problem is still small. Small problems can often become big ones if they are not treated and we do not take them seriously. Tonight, my goal will be
brave.
Convince people of the severity of the threat and also propose some solutions on how we can fix this threat. But I guess to answer the question, is taking infiltration a problem? Yes, it is, and we need to deal with it. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The sooner we do it, the easier it will be. Thank you.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. Also, clarification housekeeping. I turned my volume up a little bit because I was told it was a little quiet. Do I sound better coming through on y'all's end?
You sound the same to me, but I never had any problems.
Oh, okay. So anyway, moving ahead, I guess I want to, before we talk about solutions, I guess I just want to make sure that we're all relatively on the same page, because it sounds like for the most part, we all agree on the fundamental issue of tankies.
Oh, fuck. I should have upgraded my weight. Whatever.
Party. I guess I want to ask the panel first, is there any question or is there any conversation worth having about the scope of this? So are we counting like concerns about socialists or members of the DSA? Like, is that a conversation that people would like to have?
Bro, this girl, I think she was having a panel 2 days from now. Oh my god, I get too many Discord notifications. I have to scroll so far. Monday, 8 p.m. On what the brand of the Democratic Party. Good to see you, buddy. Gotta run. Take care. I appreciate you stopping by, Chipringo. Thank you. Like and sub. This is true. This is true. What the brand of the Democratic Party should be going forward or whatever. I think I could sign up, bro. I just want to fight all of these people on neoliberalism. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want. The issue is, I'm pretty sure it's only about, like, what's the best to voters or whatever. And I don't think my ideas are the best for voters.
Well, not, yeah, I don't know about like how long the conversation.
Nafon is right. This is true. Give Nafon access. I mean, I have. I know all these. All but one of these people, I guess, technically, and I don't think I've ever spoken to RGR, the girl in the bottom middle. Oh, what's up north? But like, I know these people. I'm sure I could like get on them or whatever. I just think, like I said, I think the thing is like only about. It's only going to be about fucking like. How can, you know, what's the best strategy for voters and stuff or whatever. And I just want to talk about why pharmaceutical price caps are bad, okay? But
it has to be, but I was
listen, we all want to be right, but non-Fran is right. This is true. Thank you, Factually Active. That means a lot coming from the Factually Active himself.
I was telling Kat this earlier, but I guess I'll tell you all. The reason why I think it's important to stress it and maybe have something on record from all of us that this is a threat and kind of define the scope of the threat. I was watching Live and Learn before I hopped on here, right? Just like 20 minutes ago, I would say. And they were talking about the same subject we're talking about, only in a very, very different manner, right? You had Pisco, Soy Pill, even IRI to some extent, kind of downplaying the threat that this was. It got so bad that they saw me in chat and Pisco.
I'm actually just going to fuck out. Oh no. On everyone's end or just your end? Because I am watching on Wick's end.
Was struggle sessioning Hutch to disavow me because I was disagreeing in chat, and people was like, say you disagree with Wick, say it, say he's wrong, say he's crazy. It was crazy. And I think that there are too many liberal creators, liberal influencers, liberal actors in this space. And again, I do think that Pisco is a liberal, but I think that he has, for whatever reason, decided that this isn't a problem, and he's, whether he intends to or not, running cover for really bad actors. He's acting as if we have been diagnosed with cancer, but it's only stage 1, so don't worry about it, gang. It's not really a problem. But everyone knows the best time to deal with cancer is
Everyone else's end. Oh damn.
when it's small. And so, yes, I think that there's a value in discussing what is the scope of this threat, because it's not just the DSA. I would include liberal creators who downplay the DSA, or downplay the threat, I should say. I would include otherwise people I would otherwise consider allies who are not taking this seriously. I think that
Destiny was the main one complaining. I mean, makes sense. He's known for that. Do you not know? Bro doesn't know.
they are also, in their own way, and not to the same severity or scope, a threat to the Democratic Party.
Okay. No, oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, no, okay, thank you. He's right, especially in the sense of complacency. Honestly, I'm very much reminded of MAGA in its early stages, or at least how the Republicans acted, right? Because what we're seeing is, you can see like 2 groups of people, right? And we're going to see like a repeat of this, okay? So in the early stages of MAGA, there were the people who saw Trump as like, oh, okay.
I'm pro-big government and not just to keep a strong foundation of bare minimum quality and cut prices to shred. Cut prices to shred. What that mean? I also do not believe not all socialism is as capable as people think it can be, because like, sure, everyone employee ran business, but like it does work on a small scale with a handful of employees. But once you scale up the business, where you're having distinct roles in businesses like chef, waiter, busboy, etc., you will run into the major issue of responsibility versus power. The person for real. And, yeah, I just think you're gonna have like allocative efficiency issues. You know, that thing doesn't know how to make a supply and demand graph. Hey. He learned a little.
He's like unnecessary bad to beat the Democrats, right? And so they went with it. But then as they,
who is actually handling all the debt, the contract, stock, etc., isn't going to give an employee who just clocks in at 9 and clocks out at 5 the same speaking voices as other workers who do more than a bare minimum. Well, true.
gave in more and more, then now we have the absurdity that we have today. And we're going to see the exact same thing with the far left if we don't do something to squash this as soon as possible, right? And then your second group is going to be people who are like your LARPers, right? They just don't care. They're just in it for like the political gain. So either A, you stand on some principles and know when to cut things, or I guess B, you really just don't care. And we need to avoid a repeat of MAGA, except on the left.
Yeah, go ahead. Right now it's open discussion. I'll ask questions, but I don't want to be too active participant.
So yeah, another example I noticed before MAGA, the one before that, was Gamergate. And I've written papers on this in classes about like new media stuff and all those kinds of things. Read books on like misinformation and memetics and how that spreads. These movements tend to be onions. And I think it's very important to like separate this out and model what this looks like, because a lot of these conversations, people want to talk past each other. In the core, you have someone who's...
Why would I listen to a policy take from someone who doesn't know what deadweight loss is? I mean, I don't think well, obviously I do think that like, clearly there are expertise you can have in other areas that might not necessarily let you know what deadweight loss is, I guess, but I don't know why. I don't know what you'd expect me to say. I think that, yeah, if someone doesn't know what it is, at least in a broad sense, they probably are not officially informed on at least economic trade-offs.
like intentionally so bought in to an ideology, typically like a hate ideology, that they will like say or do anything to make that happen knowingly. So like create
What do you think, Easy Money? You think I should join the next one and just argue that the ACA was bad?
propaganda, or like manufactured stories. They think the ends justify the means because they truly believe in their goal. Then you have like layer 2 are people who are also bought into that ideology and will even like actually just believe and trust the examples of like racism fodder or whatever, or like actually believe the rhetoric and understand what it means. And they can also be kind of like giving their information that they actually believe in. Then the third level are people who also join in, say the same things and share the same.
The issue, I think you probably hear when I said this or whatever. But the issue is when it comes to like what the problem is, like what the best brand for the Democratic Party is or whatever. Like I literally don't think that it is best electorally for Democrats to say that, but God, I just don't want us doing repealing property tax. What are we doing, dog? Or I mean, this is like a total meme or whatever, but the grocery store bill thing. This thing, like, I mean, it's not gonna, like, they're not gonna pass, probably not. It's probably just like some virtue signal anti-corporation thing, but Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a busboy shouldn't have the same speaking power as a head chef or anything, but like if you want to have a voice in a company, you should do more than what is expected of you. True. And I don't mean endless unpaid overtime or anything. Like a busboy should also be aware of what contracts being signed and what debt is left to be paid off, etc. They can't just turn a blind eye while expecting the same power. Well, I think there actually is a there's a kind of a broader like free rider problem there, just because insofar as you sort of decentralize a lot of the management stuff, people are just gonna free ride off the sort of management work of others. They have like some individual incentive to do that. How are you not ashamed to be part of this party? I don't know what you want me to say, dog. I just think that like, especially in the short term when it comes to like the Senate stuff and such, like just having some congressional oversight on the Trump administration is just like very important. I think that like there's just like certain, and I think the fact that like I vote for like Democrats is like sufficient in most people's view to make, for me to say like I am a Democrat. Like I think, like I've said, it'd just be kind of like dishonest for me to like identify as like some centrist person or whatever, but then say I also like vote for old like Democrats. If you look at New Mexico versus Arizona growth rates and then look at their respective legislators, I mean, I wouldn't take that as like exactly that, especially good evidence or anything. But like, yeah, I think probably at least on the state level, Republicans tend to be a lot more pro-growth, and I worry about the Democrats who aren't very pro-growth. I do think that there is a growing segment of the Republican Party that are just kind of chuds and therefore don't care that much about growth because they care more about their weird national project stuff.
Things and like represent things without knowing it and thinking it's kind of like a joke or not super serious. And the fourth level are people who aren't even a part of the movement, but they just see those people who say it's not serious or it's actually something else, and they take their word for it. So like with Gamergate, there's like intentional misogynists and liars, like about women. There's like a disgruntled ex-boyfriend of Zoe Quinn. Then there were like the actual like sexists on 4chan. Then there were all the normies on YouTube who said, oh, it's just about ethics and game journalism, and thought it was fake. And there's a lot of normal people who didn't realize they were carrying water for all of that, because they're like, what do you mean? Like that's just, they just said it's for ethics and game journalism, that doesn't seem to be that serious. And so it's a macro structure for diffusing responsibility, and like no individual person is like actually evil, right? And then like they would say you're crazy, like you're being misogynistic, but like a lot of them are like, what do you mean? It's just jokes, it's not like super serious, whatever. But like at a big picture level, what is?
Oh my god! Wait, did I not literally capture a land ball? Oh, I gotta capture 3? Fuck.
That machine they're feeding and what is it actually doing? And I'm really scared that's what we're seeing now with like Maoists and accelerationist communists at the core into kind of like good faith, kind of naive progressives who don't realize that it is serious and not a meme.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. Finish.
So, yeah, and then like that's.
New Mexico was filled with moderate Democrats, wanted to tax and spend when it was already a poor state, like an African country doing social democracy. You're not built for this, okay?
Not penetrating the mainstream. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, they're liberals too. They like it too, and don't realize like that kind of actual core harm.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of like, and maybe in this discussion, it might be important to kind of showcase what it is they are doing. Like, because a lot of people won't understand the threat unless you spell it out, right? There are different, it's multivariable, right? There are different people doing different things, but they all end up intentionally or not kind of working together to the same ends. And I think that one of the things that we're seeing is a lot of people who claim to want to help the Democratic Party or help us beat MAGA do not actually want that goal. And unless, like Mike from PA famously said, I will continue to depress Democratic turnout until they bend the knee to the left, right? They are there to make it so bad, to make sure that MAGA wins so much that Democrats lose hope. Democrats think, well, we can't win doing what we're doing. We need to pass the torch to someone else. And again, the goal is for us to pass the torch to them so that they can have their shot. And they think that, oh, we'll, once we get in there, of course people will vote for us because, you know, they just don't vote for us now because they don't understand. They haven't actually lived under our rules before. It's all been AIPAC and the DNC establishment, blah, 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 blah. And so these people are actively hurting us on purpose, intentionally. Look at the Fox News interview that happened with the DSA, what was it, vice president? I forget what position she had. It was high up in the organization. That was a friendly interview.
I learned this from an anonymous article.
It was the same team interview.
Well, which one?
Interview lady, what's her name? I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. She was basically not contesting anything and saying, oh, you believe this? And the DSA person was like, yes, of course we believe that. Oh, you believe in abolishing the police? Yes, of course we believe in abolishing the police. And some of the most like dog shit policy positions you could possibly have that are severely unpopular with the American people. And again, this is going to be tied to the Democratic Party. They will point to Mamdani. They will point to Chevrolet. They will point to other DSA candidates, Valdez, I believe. They will point to AOC. They will point to other people who may or may not share these same positions. Like AOC, I don't think shares some of these positions, right? And they will tie it to us. They will hang it around our neck like a millstone.
Wait, is that actually what it's called?
It will
Based?
And that is a purposeful, intentional strategy. They are our enemies. I don't know how. I know. Look, I'm rambling, but no, it's just true. It's just correct.
Yeah. Let me add something to that. One of the things that a lot of liberals or people that are more inclined on the left, I've seen them fall into, is this idea that we can't be punching left right now because MAGA is like this ultimate evil, and it is a very hard talking point to refute because MAGA is currently in power. They're the ones who are currently weaponizing our government against us.
Let's look it up. Well, I was going to, but I gotta make my berries first.
It's the current threat. That doesn't mean that we have to ignore the the new threat that's being birthed with the rise of the DSA within the Democratic Party currently. And if we can't fight against that, then everything that we've worked hard for in order to bring MAGA down, we're just going to have to do it all over again with a new DSA leftist, whatever they do if they manage to gain power. So.
On that point, actually, let me follow up. So I think that yours and Wick's point actually could tie together. And I wonder, let me pose this to the panel. How do you all feel about framing the current divide that we're seeing emerge in politics, not as one of the right versus the left as much, as rather a liberal versus illiberal divide? So for example, with Wick, having people from the DSA being able to go on Fox News and give like a friendly interview, that would, in my mind, explain why you could be able to see something like that, because they are on the same side. They're on the side of illiberalism. And then North, you saying like, well, there's concern about punching left. Well, really, the concern is not about punching left. It's about punching the illiberals. It's about trying to defeat illiberalism. But that's just my opinion. What are the thoughts of the panel about that framing?
Yeah, look, first of all, that concern about punching left, it's not real, right? That's what they say. They don't actually mean it because they'll punch left all day. They'll punch Democrats all day, the establishment all day. They will Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Jim Clyburn, they will punch the shit out of those people, right? That are on the left. They do not care. The rule.
Hold on, I'm trying to look it up, by the way.
Is don't punch them, right? They can punch whoever they like, but don't punch them. But to your question, yes, illiberal versus liberal is the correct dividing line here. And I think that that's why it's important to define what the Democratic Party stands for and to reaffirm to people that the principle that you have to have, and this is non-negotiable, if you want to be considered part of the coalition, right? Not just an ally who votes with us sometimes, right? Not just someone we sometimes work together with, but an actual part of the coalition. You have to have a liberal value system. You have to at least have some core liberal principles about you, and you cannot be an authoritarian. Those are the two, I think, what I would consider the one thing that is you have to have and one thing that you cannot have. And so, yes, liberal and liberal is the correct dividing line. And in order to stress that, the Democrats need to make it very clear that we do not accept illiberals into our midst. You can vote for our candidate, sure, we'll let you, but you don't get to steer the ship. You don't get to be in positions of influence or power. You don't get to be a staffer, even to our politicians. And I want to, and the politicians should do that. They should require all their staffers, because a lot of people talk about the donors and how the donor class is messing us up and how PACs and super PACs and money in politics is a problem. And fair enough, but one problem that we don't talk about is the staffer class. The staffer class holds huge, immense, unelected, and unaccountable power in our political system and in our parties. And this is driving each party, it's not just a Democrat problem, to very extreme issues. Because what a politician will do is, a lot of politicians, they came into power, they didn't know about this.
Wick blackpilled by the Matt Iglesias article. Actually, not Matt Iglesias. Lib Development articles on Biden's staffer.
Social media stuff, especially Democrats, they don't really have a connection with new media, as they call it, right? And they rely on their staffers to kind of guide them and kind of like, well, you're young, you know these things. What should I be looking for? How should I be approaching things? What is it that the kids want these days, right? And these staffers are driving them towards people like Hassan Piker. It's a problem.
That's kind of like what I was bringing up earlier when I was saying that like they're making these unbelievable promises and they're definitely not going to be able to fulfill. I also kind of want to touch on the fact that you said you absolutely have to have a dictator in order to carry any of this out, because under their voting structure, they want to eliminate the two-party system. And the elimination of the two-party system just simply doesn't work with the current voting system, because they also want to eliminate the popular vote. And the popular vote simply doesn't.
What? Sorry.
Making these unbelievable promises.
Them towards people like Hassan Piker. It's a
fulfill. I also kind of want to touch on the fact that you said you absolutely have to have a dictator in order to carry any of this out, because under their voting structure, they want to eliminate the two-party system. And the elimination of the two-party system just simply doesn't work with the current voting system, because they also want to.
But you would just have to change. You don't need a dictator to do like a different voting system, to do fucking either representative district voting or ranked choice voting, which I'm not necessarily sure or net positive. I don't take a strong position on that, but like, you don't need, definitely don't need to be a dictator to do that. Something that attacks and span, it doesn't look good on you. I just have the opinions I have, and a lot of them are like not particularly strong, but it is my general opinion that like, I think, what do you say, tax and spend? Like, I'm definitely like quite a bit less tax and spend than like most Democrats, right? I feel like I'm quite a bit like I am not in favor of expanding like the Medicare subsidies or anything. And we're probably good that we let a lot of the post-COVID ones like expire and stuff. By say we let, I mean, in a beautiful bill, they like, you know, got rid of them, or not got rid of them, let them expire, didn't extend them. I'm not even certain that the ACA itself was like net positive. I don't think that most of the Democrats' ideas on taxation are good. Like, I think raising the payroll taxes is kind of dumb. I mean, I don't think that many Democrats want to raise the payroll tax, or at least only, I think, the Bernie Warren camp. Well, I moved you. Wow, on what? On the ACA? I think I've like, I don't know if I've even moved that much into the ACA. I still think they say it's so like probably net positive. Probably. The medical loss ratios were definitely stupid. Yeah. But I don't know if I don't know if it was net positive or not. The expansions I don't think we're good. Why, when I look up Spider-Man hamster, does Spider-Man X hamster search? Come on, what? Oh, I spelled hamster wrong.
Eliminate the popular vote, and the popular vote simply does not work without the two-party system. What would work is something called ranked choice voting, because if you have multiple different parties and everybody's voting for different things, you're
I was just looking for this guy. Okay, like
one party that's going to win out only because maybe it has a tiny more. So let me give an example. Have you ever heard of ranked choice voting? What it is?
I'm familiar.
Okay, yeah. So the ranked choice voting is the only thing that's congruent with a multi-party system, and they have no plans of doing that. They just want to do popular vote only, so which means that essentially they're just going to elect a dictator, and since they're breaking down all of the normative.
you could have there are other voting systems than just ranked choice voting that get you to having multiple districts. You can have star voting, you can have approval voting, you can have there are so many walking voting systems you can have out there. You can just have like proportional districts or whatever they're called.
Structures for removing people, there's no way to remove them. So there's literally, because I mean, again, they want to abolish the Constitution, they want to abolish all this other stuff. So essentially, they just want to elect a dictator and then have them control everything, and then not have a way to remove them, and then everybody's voting for like 500 different candidates.
I don't know if ranked choice voting does that.
No. I'm saying. What do you mean?
Ranked choice voting is something that you can implement well or implement poorly.
No, I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Right, I'm saying that if they eliminate the popular vote, right? If they eliminate the current electoral college and instill only popular votes, and then also eliminate a two-party system where they have like 500 different parties that you can just run as whatever party you feel like it doesn't work. You can't have a popular vote with 500 different parties. It simply is incongruent with electing somebody that represents the entire population.
I think the better thing to home in on there is that the policies that they are advocating for, I think are generally against like what we would call like the mainstream Democratic Party. So they're like anti-Ukraine, generally like anti-capitalists, are way more extreme on anything else when it comes to.
Here's the chart. I don't have it. Hold on. Oh, Arizona versus New Mexico. Wow. Well. Why is it not? I mean, I don't think the population difference is that. Oh, but total personal income, I guess. Never mind. Well.
Like I think they want to basically remake the entire constitution with like limiting the Senate and limiting the office of presidency and all that. So I think something we need to focus on is that these people don't believe in America as like we know it now. Their goal is to like fundamentally reshape America into something completely different, whether it's going to be like how the DSA platform currently is, or whether it's going to go even further than that, because it seems from many of the interviews of like higher people in the DSA and with their more extreme candidates that be elected like Xavier, that they're more like the tanky/Maoist leaning, which is extremely scary to have someone like that in our politics.
Has anybody actually enumerated what the enumerated, is that the right word? Anyway, has anybody enumerated what actually the DSA proposes for their party? Have you been to their website?
Yeah, they put out a recently kind of a platform that everyone can go through. And like I said, they were interviewed on Fox News the other day, and they were asked very simple questions. Do you support abolishing the Senate? Yes. Do you support abolishing police? Yes. Do you support abolishing borders? Yes. Right. And all this list of what I would consider a very illiberal list of things that is just
also, sorry.
Well,
because I don't want to get like down weeds. Something that might be
abolishing border is illiberal. Literally the most liberating position ever. Wick. Come on.
Mean when we're talking about liberal values, right? Because like it's not so much what they're trying to push in particular. It's not like we're, the issues are like the particular ABC of what they're advocating for. I mean, some of them are crazy, but like ultimately when we're talking about liberalism versus illiberalism, in my opinion, people can disagree, is the how they want to accomplish those goals. Whereas illiberalism fundamentally is usually associated with imposing policies by force if necessary, despite or without the consent of the public. That's fundamentally, in my opinion, what's the difference between liberalism versus illiberalism. Whereas liberalism focuses on consent of the majority, democratic process, peaceful transition of power. Does anyone agree with that? Or
well, I think it's helpful to maybe expand on what liberalism is. I think that's a good cue, because like especially in American politics, everyone on the left is called a liberal by the right when it's not true. Many people on the far left are not liberals. We do not claim them. And there are people who are on the center right, like maybe North would consider himself maybe moderate center right-ish, who I would consider liberal.
I mean, I consider myself a conservative, but I believe in liberalism.
Yeah, and you can be a conservative liberal, you can be a progressive liberal. Liberal is something that you can be with many other.
East versus West Germany. East Germany versus West Germany, North versus South Korea, Mao versus Deng, and now AZ versus New Mexico. Listen, I think like there's clearly East Germany, North Korea, Mao Zedong, like these are not quite representative of the non-fawn model of things, okay?
Right? But you can also be an illiberal conservative or an illiberal progressive. And those are the people I have a problem with. So what liberalism is to me is like recognizing the rights of the individual that are more important perhaps than the rights of all or the one.
Obviously more generally, like both the level and the change in economic freedom is heavily correlated with like GDP per capita and such, but
of everyone. So for example, a lot of the far left, right? A lot of these illiberal people will say something like, don't you love democracy? Don't you want democracy? Democracy's good, right? We want people to be able to have a say, right? And that's true to an extent. But I think all of us would agree that we don't want people to be able to vote on whether or not we get the right to free speech, or we get the right to a fair trial, or we get the right to all these things. We don't want the majority, we don't want those rights dependent on a majority vote, right? And so at least for me, I think liberalism recognizes that. So it's not just the consent of the governed, but a limited government power. And if you limit government power, that limits democracy to a certain extent. Rule of law, also important. Everyone is equal under the law, equal treatment under the law, right? And that we don't just blow up institutions that disagree with us. A lot of the people who are complaining about abolishing the Senate, I think it's very illiberal, right, to do that, because they're only doing that because the Senate disagrees with them, because it has as some have put it, a structural benefit to the Republicans. And while that is true, the Senate, at least in the American government system, performs a vital function to limit and put a check on mob rule. And I think that's important. And there's a whole political pluralism, allowing other parties to actually exist. That's also something that is a liberal value that we need to stress, because a lot of them, if they could, would just eliminate all opposition politically.
Yeah, can I maybe focus on something?
But before you do, does anyone disagree with my list here, or does anyone have a problem with my definition?
No, democracy, individual rights,
pluralism, due process, all that.
I think a good
due process, upholding rule of law.
Like a good kind of question to think is like, all right, if they're in if the tankies or if the MAGA people are in majority power, like if they could put people who disagree with them in camps, would they try to? That's I think usually a pretty decent kind of metric.
What were you saying, Alex?
Yeah, that's fair. They win.
So I was going to bring up a specific policy, and whether you think it's liberal or illiberal. I think that this policy is illiberal. One of their policies is to end the U.S. war machine. That's the heading. They say defund the Department of War and all foreign wars and close overseas military bases. Support and fully employ veterans. I mean, that's fine. And immunity for U.S. war criminals and support the international criminal courts mandate to prosecute war criminals. I don't think that's something that was ever a problem. But I think that defunding the Department of War is completely illiberal. I don't think that makes any sense from the standpoint.
I don't know if it's illiberal. It's just bad policy, though.
Well, no, I would think.
No, actually, I think when it comes to like maintaining the global like structure, I think it actually is illiberal, because when the United States, like some like large power, isn't here to ensure that all the countries in the world play nice, right? Then you got countries like Russia who come in and invade Ukraine, right? So like defunding that allows for bad faith actors who are not liberal to come in and like wreck shit, essentially.
Because I mean, there's no mention of defunding the military. It just says defund the Department of War. So like, who's going to control the military? They're just going to do whatever they want. I mean,
I think it's generally said that these people hate like the military industrial complex and would like basically either pull out completely of Ukraine and do things like nuke Israel probably. So.
Also, again, you can't nuke somebody without a Department of War, right? You can't just like.
You can. I mean, the executive.
How? Who's going to?
Hold on, the president has nuclear.
Quick interjection. Thank you for joining stream, Destiny. Appreciate having you here. Just to catch you up briefly, we've been discussing the scope of the issue, so whether or not we would, instead of just focusing on tankies infiltrating the Democratic Party, if the real divide that's worth looking at is liberal versus illiberal people, and I guess in this case, illiberal people.
Bro, kill me. I can't do what I want. My day's ruined. My day's ruined. My day's ruined. I'm not locked in right now at all, by the way.
People invading the Democratic Party. And then once we get to a consensus, we're going to move to recommendations of how to try to address that. Cool. Awesome. All right, everyone can hop back in. But yeah, so I'll let you were saying something.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that it is completely illogical, illiberal to think that we can just stop wars. Like we can't just stop doing war. War is essential, even though people don't like war. Obviously, we don't want to start wars, but we can't just abolish war. That's
not doing the Marxist analysis. Okay, that war is only the result of the class interests conflicting.
It's a necessary evil.
Okay, I know this is bothering me. It's not illiberal. It's not illiberal, but it's bad policy. But it's not illiberal. I mean, not wanting more wars is not necessarily illiberal. It's just bad.
No, defunding the Department of War is illiberal.
Yeah, because basically, if all freedom of voice or whatever is ultimately accountable to force, we need force to hold everyone accountable to democracy. That's why it's good to have things like NATO or like interventionism in general. Like that's how we keep that democratically accountable. When we defund our military and just leave it to the militaries of tyrants like Russia, that is carte blanche for authoritarians to operate.
Well, yes, that is the result of the policy. That's what makes it bad policy. I just don't think it's necessary. Like the funding levels for different departments aren't necessarily individually an illiberal act. But this is semantics. We're nitpicking. I don't mean to. I think the more important.
What about USAID, the ultimate liberal front, liberal NGO funder?
Look, it doesn't matter necessarily if it's illiberal or liberal in order to like defend the Department of War. We just understand it's generally bad policy and it'll be destructive to the United America and also probably leave the rest of the liberal world, which we lead in a more defenseless position. It's just pretty.
I guess my major problem, and I want to come back to this now that Destiny is here, is the people who are ostensibly on our side, who continue to run cover for these bad actors who are helping in a very real way MAGA to win. And they may not intend to. They may not be doing this on purpose. But going on to Fox News and having an interview, a very friendly interview with the host, and then putting out some of the most unpopular policy positions and saying, yes, these are the things we're running on. And then at the same time, you have your other operatives, right? Influencers such as Crystal Ball, such as Todd Kalinske, and others with a chorus of Democrats bad, establishment bad, the Democrats can't win, the Democrats can't do anything. You need to give us the mantle, you need to give us the power so that we can run the party. This is going to end up in, unfortunately, a landslide. Every time the DSA or a DSA candidate wins an election or gets national attention, our chances to control the Senate and the House reduce. It's a problem, and we need some way to address this problem. And we need to stop being polite with people who are running cover for this problem. We need to call them out, hold them to account, and call them what they are, Trump's strongest soldiers.
Can I ask a question to the broader panel, I guess? Do we think that tankies and the DSA are a problem for the country / the Democratic Party because that they will decrease the chances that Democratic candidates will win, or do we think that they're a problem because the policies that they promote are going to be destructive to the nation if they do win? I'm kind of curious where everyone is on that.
I think that North's question there is really important because I feel like sometimes we get lost in terms of do we, for what you just said, do we support these people because they're, or do we not support because they're not really popular because they have some core value clash? And I think that on two different levels we have to operate there. I feel like the first thing is that we have to understand what the Democratic Party is. We have to understand that there's room for disagreement in our party, and then there's probably room for things that we probably shouldn't have disagreement on, but there's not room for disagreement on certain things. Like the idea that
like the ATA. What are you doing? Oh, I just finished. I had to Venmo someone, but I messaged my friend, but Venmo was being annoying. Didn't let me be funny. Didn't let me be funny. And I tried to see if it would let me be funny using my computer, but it wouldn't let me. So I used my phone to be normal.
Like black people and women should be able to vote, right? In every party in the US right now, right? This should be this is a non-negotiable. We wouldn't accept those people in our party. Probably the most contentious issue maybe is abortion. Is that really who we want to debate in the Democratic Party? As between being staunchly pro-life or not, probably not. I think it's probably core Democratic Party value. And then maybe things like gun control, we might have differences there, or in affirmative action, we have differences there. And then where we have differences, we can accept that there are going to be people that are in the party that are different. But then we move on to the next thing in terms of what is electorally viable. We might not support anything because it's electorally viable, but there's a difference between not supporting that thing because it's not electorally viable versus not supporting that thing because these people aren't compatible with our party, right?
I think it's important. I think yes, we can recognize a lot of these policies, if they are passed, would destroy this country or destroy our party, and they're just bad policies as a whole. While also kind of making the argument that because for a lot of people, they just want to win, right? We got to recognize that a lot of the electorate, a lot of the Democratic electorate, they just want to win. They don't really care about.
We should immediately dismiss those people's retards because you could test this with one or two hypotheticals. And what is somebody said? Well, we have, but I'm saying somebody was like, oh, well, this candidate can win because he wants to run on the idea of disenfranchising every Mexican from being able to vote, every person of Hispanic, descent from being able to vote. We said, well, no, obviously.
So lucky to grow up in America. I agree, brother. This is why I donate a lot to. Actually, I don't donate that much to third world things considered. I donate mostly to animals, but regardless.
That's not worth winning. When people say, when people decide we should do whatever we can to win, they're assuming whether they realize it or not.
And this is why I support open borders.
Right? We could technically win every single election if we would just come in and support the Republicans. Right? We say, oh, well, if the Democrats are going to run, they should just support every single Republican position, and then we can win in some Republican. But what's the point in that, right? So there's got to be some, even if people don't realize it, there's some baseline. Well, sure, we want to win, but we do want to win with something that's in our tent of values. Right?
I agree. I think free markets are good because they expand the moral circle for people because they have to interact with non-kinship. Is that a non-family members? They have to actively cooperate with people outside their family and such.
For me, at least, liberalism.
Which means they donate more to the third world.
And again, we were talking earlier, liberal and illiberal should be the divide, right? I do not want illiberals in my party. I just don't. I think that they're destructive.
I agree that being illiberal should be out, but there's we have slavery and we're still a liberal country, right?
Well, I think that yes, in the context.
What's up?
I just debated some communists on some TikTok live.
About what?
Starsky was hyping me up, but that means he wasn't watching your live about communism. It was boring. It was boring. They were all retarded. They were all retarded.
Not surprising.
It was boring. It was I just think capitalism, out of all the systems that are, practically on the table, capitalism is the best one to maximize human welfare. I'm convinced of that. And then he was like, well, what about exploitation? I was like, well,
bro,
I don't grant that unless you define it to be descriptive and not normative. And then 20 minutes later, we talk about welfare, and then he defines exploitation. Guess what? Descriptively.
Haven't you seen this 1986 study that decisively proves that socialism?
No, we did.
Better?
Luckily, we didn't even do these memes. No, it was mostly just them trying to flex Marxist theory, and then I was mugging them. Was oh, I like Heinrich, but I'm not sure he's right here or something. And then one of them was oh, let me pull up this page I've read with the definition of exploitation. I was okay, I'm waiting, and then there was 5 minutes he couldn't cite it, and he left. But yeah, I know it was just a session of knowledge marketing. But I wanted to talk about. I'm against crackdowns on freedom of speech, but someone needs to find a way to make the Trump admin, instead of going after David Pacman, to go after the EPI and More Perfect Union. We can do that. We can do that. We can pull through. We can do that. No, someone needs to. I'm saying it's bad, but as long as it's happening,
as long as
there are better
targeted against
resource. I'm just saying it's a government crackdowns are a scarce resource. That's what I'm saying, and we need to divert them optimally. Yeah.
You would think that there's gotta be a way, you know, to make them woke enough, but unfortunately, half of the stuff
these people, there is no lie too shameless for these people.
Yeah. Half of the stuff they like, you remember the video about like trade or like NAFTA from forever ago, and it's like the only criticism they levy towards Trump tariffs is that they're like, but they're not paired with subsidies to really encourage investment here, and it's like, dog, kill me.
Yeah. Oh my god, bruh.
I'm hoping I'll debate.
Are we ever getting DBCFT? Did you hear there was supposed to be a commission on? There was supposed to be a commission in March about DBCFT, but it got postponed.
Yeah. I saw that. It's disappointing.
We're never winning. It's over.
I'm hoping to debate that. I think I told you about it before. That Ancom Ultra Runner dude, Caden. I'm hoping I get to talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah, so,
I don't know for sure yet.
Oh, let's go. Is he like you said he's an ANCOM, so he might not do all the like fucking retarded USSR Soviet propaganda. A lot of the tankies, they have their propaganda from the USSR, like Soviet talking points. It might be that ANCOMs don't make that anymore. Yeah, I would. So with ANCOMs, it just look. These people try to dialectically or conversationally murder you. They want to focus on the least optical thing, use the most explosive language, right? Everything is exploitation, imperialism, racism. Everything is the worst. So you should just like not stoop to that level, but like maybe talk to him about like the least optical subjects for him, like prison abolition, or how would we make shit, right? Try to pin him down.
Yeah.
And if he just says communities, you know what to do.
Beans.png, bro.
That's right.
Or is it beans.jpg?
Maybe even watch the like. I think it's JPEG usually.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, either way, I mean, you should be less nice. Well, you said you DM'd Kobe?
Yeah, she has not replied, obviously, but I did
that girl
indeed.
Is crazy. She's extremely evil. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, like beyond the politics. Wait, can I send you a clip? Can I send you a video? Can I send you a great video? Yeah. Can you play it on stream?
As long as it's not like bad.
It's her saying bad words. If that's fine.
I mean, most bad words are fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Share. Copy. This is the caliber of person you're talking to. She figured out the person she was talking to is Afghan, and so
oh boy,
she thought this is the optimal route to take in the dialectical path, the dialectical adventure. They were
bring you into this world in your mother's basement. Isn't that crazy?
Let me know when it's
literally
over.
looked like he was in a slum. Exactly. You literally were in a slum, my guy. That's what you
cried
are.
over the one word nigga?
You were. Oh, you just said nigga again? You said nigga again?
Right?
No, I'm not gonna cry because a sand nigger is telling me that.
Oh my god.
How am I gonna cry when a sand nigger is telling me that? Huh? Go clean your little basement in your mother's like slum. Go انت كس امك يا ابن رقاصة انت. يا ابن رقاصة انت انيك امك قدامك كمان. أنيك أمك قدامك كمان, you little filthy sand nigger.
Hey, you old fuck.
Why is she saying it like? Is she saying it like so formally?
Sand nigger. That's what you are.
Yeah, because that's like, you know, that's hate for you.
Nothing else. You're
I think she's
nothing
Eritrean,
else.
pretty sure.
You guys thought that I was
So she's not
joking.
Arab. That's what I'm trying to say. So she cannot even say it.
When
Yeah,
I
it's
said
just like very hateful, very evil people. There's obviously way worse clips. When she was talking to Loner Box, she was saying like, Well, ethnic cleansing, whether Palestinians want to ethnically cleanse the Jews, that's up to the Palestinians.
Yeah.
I don't know if she fully intended it, but that's what she said immediately after he asked. So that I can only infer that's what she thought. Yeah. These people are evil. They want to destroy you. They want to destroy your civilization. You should probably not be nice to them, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah.
Well, I don't think
with MAGA, with the fascists, you can be nice with the fascists. Yeah, you have the fascists, right? Like MAGA, and but they're. Ultimately I'm a liberal. I'm on the side of capital. They're a reaction from capital to the communist threat. So I will always support MAGA over, the communists, because like the MAGA, they're bad, but they're not a threat to capital. That's ultimately what I support.
It's gonna clip this, bro. They're gonna use it against me in the future. They're gonna.
No. It's so brain dead to think this way, right? Yeah, but it's what it is. It's what it is. Yeah, a lot of high IQ material coming from these people. But yeah, but Charsky will see all these people and be like, no, we gotta support these people because Neuroth said one time that prices are not comparable. We gotta do this. Charsky, debate North. You're running away from North. He will mock you on socialism. You're running away. Terrible. I'm surprised no one made fun of Destiny because North is a fan of his, but he's like a conservative. So
yeah, Well, people make fun of North of that.
Yeah, but not as a vector of attack against Destiny.
Yeah, sure.
That's right. Yeah, what else? So Covey cited like a report about gold outflows from South Africa.
She cited
it's like complete bullshit.
Report called Honest Accounts, and it's just about some wealth, how the West is exploiting Africa, because there's a bunch of there's a net outflow of wealth or whatever. But it's just the biggest individual figure in that is the illicit financial flows, and there are other issues that I think conceptually might even just be bigger issues, but the illicit financial flow is just calculated from overall bilateral trade mismatches in the trade data between countries, but most of that is explained by totally routine, normal things that don't imply exploitation at all. They just imply different countries having data organized in different ways, or the bilateral data being distorted because sometimes when a good goes through an intermediary country, it doesn't properly show up bilaterally between the two countries where the goods ended up. So most of it is just explained by that. And the South Africa thing was just one particularly big example, where it's just the South Africa government just didn't properly compile the statistics for their gold exports. So they just didn't enter the com trade data appropriately. So there's this huge illicit financial flow, but it's just a fact that South Africa did not compile the statistics correctly. And there's another portion.
How'd you find all this? Did you just did you ask ChatGPT, is this report believable, or did you just find it on your own? How did you find all this?
I asked I read some of the report when she first started it or whatever, and then I asked Claude, are there any authors who I would know of that have written about this? And it gave me a blog post that sent me down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I from my experience, Claude or ChatGPT thinking mode are very good if you just give them something. Obviously, you should not confirmation bias, although yeah. But I mean, these people definitely do. But you should just give the paper and be like, oh, try to fact check this. Is this believable? Is this remotely? Has this been critiqued? Stuff like this, because then you can read both sides, even if you only have one side. I think that's good. But yeah. So next debate is the income runner, dude.
Hopefully.
Fuck. What are you even going to talk about? What's the topic? Socialism?
Yeah, something socialism. Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to propose a system of sovereign wealth funds that distributed across the economy. That's it. Usually, when I think of socialists,
income or whatever, I don't know if you know much about him. Or
no, I'm making fun of you.
Oh yeah, he doesn't he's not totally insane from what it seems like. he seems to have like some sloth beliefs or whatever, but it's not like
Okay.
it's super bad. Hopefully, we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. I do enjoy the fact that like all my enemies are dumb. So they are Pavlovian, and I said this many times, but like I feel like, you know, in a discussion I could throw something like, oh, and you know, right now the median American has made more than ever before, right? And just like wait for them to say, no, that's not true. Wait, that's not adjusting for the cost of living. It's like, oh boy. Know what? Let's talk about it. Why do you think that's right? But do you support like moving to trimmed mean PCE or something? I've not followed. Do you support that?
Probably not. It doesn't seem well for what, like for the Fed to measure based off of
target.
Yeah, probably not, but maybe.
Yeah, same.
It seems like I remember reading that one like console whoever article about it, whatever. And it's like, you know, they're like the same metrics, you know, used like during COVID to initially justify, oh, we don't have to be concerned about, you know, inflation spiking at all because if you look at the trimmed averages, it's just like a few goods or whatever going up right now. I don't know. It's probably just not ideal to rely on those.
Yeah. And also, it's just like exactly. So okay, the goal was to target 2% PCE, core PCE. Now, core PCE is I think it's like
the
3 something.
The core PCE.
But trimmed mean PCE is like 2 point something. It's like a really big gap. So are we saying keeping the same level of target but on different measures? That just sounds like it's gonna cause more inflation. Measured by core PCE, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I like that.
Well, we'll see what the inflation task force says about it.
If we get DBCFT from Trump, I'm voting for him.
Then he's net positive. Yeah. Then I'm voting for the 4th Trump term. Let's go.
Then I can excuse the deaths from USAID. Then I could excuse that. But yeah. Yeah. How does it feel to be a wagey?
I've explored it every day. Horrible. I now know what it's like.
You're your labor power.
Oh, I forgot. I have to make a tweet because I got my first paycheck. You know, surprisingly, it did not change my views on unions. It did not change my views on immigration or on like taxes or anything. Like, you know, none of my views really changed. I was assured by so many people that, you know, I would, you know,
the moment you get your first, it's like a metaphysical force. Like you touch the ink and then it like transfers your econ knowledge to the paycheck. Yeah. No, but I mean, how much do you have in savings?
Not much right now. I gotta set up a. I
So
was planning on
that
doing
means
it
that
tonight. I gotta set up
that
a,
means that like.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Fuck you. I was gonna say I gotta set up a an IRA, and then I get matching 401k contributions after I work there for like 6 months, I think. So I'll set that up then.
Hey, that's great. I'm just saying, so long as you don't have in savings right now, it sounds like you're living from one paycheck to the next. I don't know what to call it.
From paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. Whoa, that sounds really, whoa. Say that again.
I think I paycheck to paycheck.
What? That was clever. That's clever. That's clever. That was really
I wonder
good.
how many other people do that. We should send out a survey.
Yeah, it's gotta be like more than half, right? It's gotta be. I don't know how much more than half though, but yeah. Oh my god. Now, okay. So it's like It's like a checklist. It's like,
I
okay,
make
got my first paycheck. My payments did not
$14.50,
change. Now let's see.
with
Oh,
an extra
own your first home. Well,
$1.50
we'll wait with that.
if I work night
Sit on your
shift.
first corporate meeting. Okay, well, I'll wait for that. It's like all the do this and then you'll have my opinions. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
I don't think I will. Oh my god. Yeah. I miss the stock buyback debates. I miss them. It's like because like that's stupid policy, right, to ban stock buybacks. But we used to have it without like saying without debating along the way if like, fucking
LDM them.
eliminating like the people who made it were just like, yeah, they just got all their opinions from politicians. Now they get it from the unions. So now we have to pivot to like data centers are ruining everything and like markets don't work. It's like stupid. I miss the like just like weird, like why are you obsessed with this? It's like obviously false. You just believe this because the politician told you.
Hey, I
I miss these days, but yeah, I don't.
Well, I guess it wasn't a stock buyback debate, but like that guy, that big Shakuna guy brought it up.
Who?
That socialist that kicked me. Remember, his name is the big Shakuna.
Oh right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's another guy. I don't know if you've seen. Do you know axiomatic reasoning?
No.
Don't worry about it. Some guy on Instagram something. He just like debates usually MAGA people. He has like call-ins on his Discord and he just like uploads it to Instagram, so I've seen him. But yeah, I was in his Discord. I was like, yeah, I disagree with your assessment of stock buybacks as like stock manipulation that is a pyramid scheme. Here's a good article that you should read. And then he's like, do you agree it was defined as such like 100 years ago? And I was like, yeah, maybe not. Because like stock buyback, you've seen the videos I've sent to you, right? Like stock buyback purchases have been like pretty consistent along that time. It's not like they were uniformly banned. Yeah.
Sure.
So it's kind of stupid. And then he just like he does this annoying thing where he like pretends he like I'm like so off the literature, even though he read nothing, but he knows where the literature is. So he just spammed me with like 5 studies he clearly did not read. And he didn't pretend to read them. He didn't say he did read them. He didn't say he didn't. He just said, well, read the literature and come back to me. And I was like, well, why can't you read the things I send and come back to me? Yeah, it's like stupid. One of the things he sent me is like a review from Harvard or something. And it says, stock buybacks are not inherently a nefarious scheme to like, manipulate by owners, right? It just like says directly the contrary to his thesis. I don't know. What are good topics of debate? Debate sucks. There's just nothing interesting to talk about.
Can we get incest debates again?
What happened to the days where like, yeah. I'm looking for someone who will like try to cite a paper and it's not like from 1986. Yeah.
Real.
Okay, now fun. Do you know how to debunk wage theft memes?
I know the biggest wage theft meme is basically just a survey from wasn't it a fucking dude on Reddit that made that chart initially or whatever, and it's like half of the respondents are illegal immigrants.
Yes, that's right. It was from a labor representation thingy.
Oh yeah.
And they were just talking about they were trying to make it representative by like asking people they know and then asking them to ask people they know and stuff, but that's just not enough.
That's obviously
It's
not.
just not enough, man. Yeah. No, dude, it's more than all property crime, dude. Why are we focusing on like, dude, why can I not steal from grocery stores, dudes? Like some people get paid like a little below minimum wage, dude. Fuck, dude. Why can I not steal infinitely? Dude, this is capitalism, dude.
I know.
I think I'm I think I'm more. It's not that I changed my mind on the effects of minimum wage. It's just like I'm more antagonistic on like talking about minimum wage. It's like such trash policy. Like even if it does have the effect size people allege, it's like very small.
Yeah.
it's just not worth the behemoth of a focus it takes among people's consciousness.
You just love capital.
When are you interviewing Finkelstein? You said you were interviewing Norman Finkelstein. When is that?
Yeah, that's like a week from today. Yeah.
You should have it at the same time as the Destiny interview, and then you could have them debate again. Yeah.
Because it sounds.
But you got to do it before Dave drops his video on you. Non-fun loves genocide. Non-fun loves genocide. Oh my god. Are you Jewish?
I heard. I'm not. Believe it or not, despite the nose.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
Yeah, I heard Professor Dave's doing a video on your genealogy. He's gone back. He's exposing you.
Oh boy. I'm getting exposed. Oy vey. Oh boy. You know what? I was waking up today. And I thought it was a good day. I thought, the birds were singing, the sun was shining. I thought, what a beautiful day. But then I realized Sneeko did not repeat the same joke about kafir for the fourth time this day. So I didn't. They ruined, dude. We got to deport Sneeko. I'm with Musk on this one. I'm with Musk on
Trump,
this one.
Yeah. Trump can do. Can we target the deportations against all the Groypers that aren't even white?
Instead of going against David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen, we need go after Sneeko. Go fucking after EPI, former unit. Come on, what are we doing? Come on. We finally have an authoritarian government, and they're not even using it to protect capital. It's so bad. What the fuck what's the point of fascism, dude? What the fuck is the point of? They're LARPing fascism. It's so bad. Dude. Look at my fascists. I'm never maintaining liberalism, dude.
You need to ask Destiny for an interview, just to ask intro econ questions would be funny.
That would be funny. Yeah, Destiny, could you draw a supply and demand curve with the price control?
I bet he.
Okay, let's make it
price control. I don't know if
price
you could do
control.
that. Yeah. Well, I bet he.
I don't know if you are allowed to display. Wait, you're streaming to Twitch, right?
Yeah, I can display Destiny and stuff.
I don't think you're allowed. I don't think you're allowed to display swastikas on the stream, so I don't think you could ask me that question.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Remember when Hassan just had a swastika sword? Wasn't that awesome?
True. Doesn't he still have it?
I think that was
still
awesome.
in his. I don't know if it's still in his stream background or whatever.
I've gotten rid of it, right? Maybe if it is, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
I feel it might not be in a stream background anymore, but I feel like he probably still has it. But yeah.
Also enough, and I asked ChatGPT how to get dating advice from girls. So I want to take accountability for using LLMs. That's a sin. That's really bad. You should never use LLMs ever. I'm with Hank Green on this one.
I was gonna say, bro, the Hank Green stuff, dog. Kill me, bro.
It's so. I don't know if he actually apologized or just told people look, this is my terms and conditions. It's what it is. But if he apologized for that, then he's the most spineless fucking moron ever.
I don't know if he, literally apologized, but he said that he's relies on them too much and he's therefore gonna take a break and stuff. It was cringe.
Yeah, there's no such thing. Okay, now can I ask you is your Twitter timeline also full of the press and hold fucking garbage thing? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, maybe it's just maybe I fell down the wrong pipeline on Twitter. There was some stupid trend where it's you can send an image that is half transparent, and then when you long click on it, it shows the other half or something stupid. But it's an engagement forming. But apparently, it rapes the Twitter algorithm to death. And after you do it once, it recommends it to you 24/7 nonstop. Half my timeline is fucking pictures of Indian people, which is long press to learn the story of life, and then it's just him when he's older. It's kill me, dude, kill me.
Mine's just
Twitter's
like
so
full
polluted.
of like a bunch of girls with like books over their pussies. That's what mine is
How
full
do I
of
do
right now.
that? How do I get that? How do I do that?
You just like enough of them, and they Twitter starts sending them your way.
Yeah.
It used to be a bigger trend than it is now, but I bet I can still find one.
That's right. Not fun.
What's
You need to do a tier list of every factor of production.
Of every what production? Oh, factor production?
Factor of production. Yeah.
Capital S tier, obviously.
Right.
Land.
Chelsea brought up a good point. Like, land rents suck. Nature is beautiful. We must destroy civilization.
Land, land can go B tier. Land can go B tier. Are we counting ideas in this model or entrepreneurship or?
We're counting oil. We're counting land. We're counting all natural resources.
Well, I mean, land, labor, capital, and ideas. But in some.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So no, we don't count ideas.
Okay, then labor can go F tier. Then
Do not look up the paper income taxation in a world of ideas, okay? Do not look up that paper. Worst mistake of my life. Okay?
Okay, good to know.
But yeah, enough shit posting. Yeah. Finally hit the round hour, so I can finally go now.
Wow.
But for those uninitiated, he pays me to join stream and start talking and like give him talking points because he cannot handle it on his own. So he pays me until like it's around that.
That's true.
Minimum wage, by the way.
Minimum wage.
And he pays me. He pays me with improper gold outflows to Israel. So.
With illicit, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, see ya, buddy.
See ya. Appreciate it. Fuck, you can't find any sexy photos of women holding books scantily over their exposed vagina. There's a few other images of women, but they're just like regular thirst traps. I can't show that one on stream. Oh my god, let's go to my likes. We need to put you in the anti-Q contraption. Nuh-uh. I might have been too careful not to like them, goddamn. Well, there's some other woman in here. But I might not have liked enough of the book ones. I found one. I don't know for certain if I could get away with showing it. This one I can show. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now of all time, with Microsoft Edge decides to do the Microsoft Edge thing. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Real ball knowers already knew.
At that time, that's true. We were more liberal, but we are even more liberal without that now. Like we have gone from less liberal when we had slavery to more liberal without slavery. And I want to maximize liberalism, right, in a very real way. And I think that like you should at least, if
Hold on, what's Mojo talking about right now?
When did that happen?
Civilizational conflict.
Spain's being invaded? Who's invading Spain?
Moroccans are just fleeing fires caused by global warming, of course.
What are you talking about
You know,
If you want to be considered in the party, in the tent, in the coalition, someone we work with, someone who can help drive policies that we promote, you need to have at least some core liberal values, and you cannot have certain illiberal values that I would consider disqualifying.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying, like, ideally, like, both parties should be liberal parties of the United States and liberal democracy, both of us, the Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, but they're not right now, unfortunately. Like, ideally, yes, but they're not.
Well, so hold on.
Republicans are.
So I was talking with Pisco about this last night on that X stream. And one of the things that he brought up, which is important, is like whether we think that these DSA people are going to be more or less, I guess, illiberal versus MAGA. So it's like, are we, if we have like a standard MAGA Republican running versus DSA type, do we think that in a lesser two of people vote, should we be supporting this DSA person at least just to win the election, or is it worth it to just like either abstain or even maybe support the MAGA Republican depending on whoever that person might be? I think that is also something important to bring up.
Also, Alex, I saw that you were trying to get a word in. Go ahead.
Well, for moving the topic to Pisco, I'm going to bring up two things that he said today. I'm going to quote something that he said earlier today on stream. He said,
If we're moving the topic to Pisco, really? Well, if we're all here to shit on Pisco now, dog. Look, you forgot that climate change will create more immigrants. We might need to rethink green energy.
sorry. He said
True.
it is congruent with liberal democracy to abolish the police and open borders. He said that those are liberal policies, or those are congruent with liberal democracy. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I think it's, again, I think we have to be careful. There's a huge range of stuff that can happen under a liberal society, but we wouldn't like want that in our party. But just because it's things we don't want in our party, that doesn't make them illiberal, right? Like, arguably, pro-life and pro-abortion stances are both like congruent with a liberal society. Theoretically, like open borders, everybody gets right, like theoretically, this is congruent with a liberal society. We just probably be too extreme for that like immigration policy, but that would make it like illiberal, I think.
Yeah,
If we,
go ahead.
I was going to say, if we combine this with one of the proposed DSA policies, which they say abolish ICE.
Pisco aura for real.
Exactly, because
I think it's a dumb policy. I just don't know if I would necessarily say it's illiberal.
Maybe something that would be helpful to get back. Like, what are we saying is the issue here? So we're
Abolish ICE is definitely not illiberal. I think you could say there's some argument that open borders is illiberal. Even that, I don't think is like really in and of itself illiberal. There's not, obviously, you could argue it can have illiberal consequences insofar as immigrants bring their relief culture transplant. I'm Garrett Jones and I'm very smart, but like, definitely not just abolish ICE. But
saying that tankies infiltrating the party are an issue, MAGA is an issue. There's some commonality there. Wick cited to the interview that the DSA representative recently had on Fox News that was very friendly. It was not adversarial at all. Ended up hurting the Democratic Party more than it would help any Democratic candidate whatsoever. So like, what is the issue?
you generally learn like half of the first chapter of Intro to Logic and has laughed his whole sphere. People get so mad at him for it too, bro. I just need Alvin ask yourself to run NTT on him, bro. Don't know why it hasn't happened yet. Don't know how it hasn't happened.
That we're teasing out here because it doesn't sound like it's the policies particularly. Like,
no, it is a policies particular. Like, these are both problems, right? We got to address them both, in my opinion. I think that
I would say. Go ahead. I don't think they're necessarily the policies. I think it's actually a more macro, like the political like goal is to kind of like infiltrate and then subvert the Democratic Party through like subversive means, like running a Democratic ticket, so kind of sort of pretending like you're a Democratic Party person, when in reality you're trying to dramatically change the entire Democratic Party, right? Like I would say that MAGA like dramatically changed the entire Conservative Party, right? It's like the problem necessarily wasn't MAGA, like policies, or like although,
I think he would concede. Probably. I mean, he said. I mean, I asked him about it once because I just asked him if they had spoken to him about it, and he said no. But from what he's seen, the argument's convincing. So
there absolutely are arsonists, wreckers, people who want to go in and to just fundamentally redefine what it means to be a Democrat, what it means to be in the Democratic Party, what the goals we have. To Riley's kind of a point here of like what is the fear of what happens. So say we let. Okay, MAGA's really bad. We need to beat them. We let the DSA types in. We let them have positions of influence and power. What's the worst that could happen type of deal? It would still be better than if MAGA winning, right? I don't know if that's the case, honestly. And in fact, I wonder if in certain cases it might be worse. Maybe this is a hot take. But if we have no...
This person's name is Desperate Farmer. Sorry, okay, but no farmer is safe from my wrath.
Real liberal party left in America, that, I think, is worse than having a liberal party that loses sometimes to an illiberal party. And I worry that in our zeal, or certain people's zeal, to beat MAGA, that we are going to let people in who are going to hollow us out, who are going to turn us into illiberals. And that is a problem for me. Like, the idea that we should, if the courts rule against us, we just gotta get rid of them. If the Senate opposes us, we just gotta get rid of it. If any institution stands in our way, we just tear it down. I find that to be self-destructive, authoritarian, and we even got El Said, right now, who's running in Michigan, who is playing with electoral denialism, trying to do this thing where, like, well, if I lose, it's because the election was stolen from me by AIPAC and those outside forces. I think that is damaging to the fabric of our society in a way that's going to, it's just going to destroy us. I don't know.
It's just make it words. It's just the MAGA playbook. I mean, it's literally what they're doing, except the MAGA playbook was playing off of people's fear. What are they playing off of? Because that's how MAGA kind of got where they are now, is they created they created a fear, somebody to be afraid of. They fear-mongered, and they made people vote because this thing's gonna happen. They're gonna turn your kids trans. They're gonna turn your kids gay. They're gonna, I don't know, put Satan in your school or whatever. So that's how they made them vote, and then they basically just lied about their policies and then kind of took over the party that way. How is the DSA going to do that fear-mongering in order?
Wick is switching more on LMAO. I think Wick is wrong on, well, I think he's mostly wrong on this issue. I don't know.
We have this.
Like, I think he... Oh, fuck. I'm gonna die. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm fine. I'm chill. I think, I don't know the exact quote or whatever, but... I just don't think it's very likely that the Democratic Party is at real risk of being co-opted by fully illiberal people, and I think that was his stated position. Has Wick ever made a point that would impress someone with an IQ above 110? Have you seen that video of him saying he's a kitty cat? That one's pretty good. I think, you know, the 120 IQ furries would... Yo, slavery based? It's based because I captured a farmer. A desperate farmer at that.
Like data on this. Their target audience are people who are high education, low income, looking to offset that like economic insecurity to some other. So they've targeted a sense of kind of the elite, and are playing into a reskin version of the JQ conspiracy theory from 4chan when they're alluding to like a Jewish control of the world through manipulating black people to defang the white left, as one candidate put it.
Okay, so they're basically like Jew bad.
I think we're all pretty much in agreement here that like the DSA is like a general threat to, I guess you would say, the Democratic Party if they were ever to gain power in the nation as a whole, if they were to be able to implement their policies. But they are still, I think they're running under like the banner of the Democratic Party, and they are running, assuming that they win a primary, they are running against like MAGA candidates. Assuming that they win primaries. How should
Wait.
Well,
Are they?
one.
Is it really though? Is that a competitive race?
It was not kind of race. It's more so like the general question to ask is if you have sort of like these DSA types, and if they were managed to win primaries.
I think Wick is capable of reasoning Chomsky. I disagree. At least to some degree.
I'm
not much against Wick, but
should we just ignore them, or should we just like support them insofar as that they win the election, or like how should we as like content creators address these people? I think it's a very important.
As content creators, or as a party?
Yeah, or well, I guess what we advocate for as content creators.
Sure. So Chevalier, I don't know how to say her name. Chevalier. Whatever. We know who I'm talking about. She got elected.
Free Shavaka do.
But we don't see her in
That's what I heard.
any committees. I don't think we should. I don't think she's earned that. I don't think we should associate ourselves with what she stands for, even though the voters elected her. She can come and she can vote in the House, but she doesn't get a place on the committees. I think that we need to do things like that. We need to be ruthless in our separation of these wreckers from who we are. Don't seat her in a committee. Do not do it. Do not work with her. Have her, she can go and she can cast her votes, but we don't give her any air, no oxygen.
Let me hop in real quick because there's a lot of discussion on like how we should treat people and like identifying them. I want to propose where I see the fundamental divide and then see if people agree with this or not. So Destiny, you weren't here at the beginning of this. We talked about specifically what happened with you and the other creators at the College Democrats event. To me, what seems to be the fundamental concern really is with tankies and illiberal leftists infiltrating the Democratic Party. Comparatively, if we're in power, if liberals are in power, we give other people the opportunity to...
If Book was given a week to learn to tell if an argument's valid or not, and his life was at stake, he would die. Okay, I don't believe that's true. I think my man is perfectly capable of learning. He might even, actually I don't know, off the top of his head he would know the distinction between valid and sound. I actually don't know if he would. He might not.
Speak and advocate for policies, even if they're extreme. I may disagree with you. I may not think that you're fundamentally advocating for something that's viable, but I will let you have a voice. Whereas my concern is if you allow these people into power, such as Hassan at that event, they will exclude voices that they disagree with from those kinds of events and from having a voice in those kinds of venues. That's my concern, is that they will take those kinds of opportunities and use them to exclude us from what we try to make into a fair process. How do other people feel about that as a framing?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a thing they would do. They would also they would sabotage Democrats any chance they get. I really don't think people, because we take for granted so much of like a functioning country and a functioning political system, I really think people take for granted trying to work with somebody who doesn't want to work with you. And like this idea of like we should extend them as charity and do whatever. Like I was kind of almost thinking like we shouldn't see them on any committees or whatever. But if they had a choice, they wouldn't. Exactly. Like these people will seek to exclude you from every single part of life.
I would bet my life on that fact, not fond. Okay, good to know.
Because that's just how their brand of politics works, right? Keep in mind that one of the issues with extremist politics is you leave absolutely no room for negotiation. Have you heard the streaming or another discussion between me and Hutchin Josiah and Pisco last night? Like part of the issue is like how do you work with these people in a way that isn't like excluding them and then all of the hand-wringing comes from them, but there's no reciprocation of that on the other side. Like they will never ever work with us in the way that people on our side say we should work with them, which means that it can only ever slide in one direction. And it's like that there's no moderating force ever in our party feels on anything to the left. Nobody can ever say like that's too far left for me.
Well, it's they're working, whether intentionally or not. People like Pisco, I'll just call him out, right? Pisco, and to a lesser extent, Josiah. Even though I like.
Okay, I'm putting this void to work. I'm pretty sure she actually sucks, because I'm pretty sure they make sure that humans are not good at doing anything because they don't want you to capture humans, but
both of these creators on a personal level, and I agree with some of the things.
There's a compelling counterexample to both democracy and white racial nationalism.
Some of the things they say, I think that their willingness to simply run cover for these bad actors and say, well, we gotta let them in, we gotta listen to them, they're not as bad as MAGA, is going to be, if the Democratic Party is taking over, that's what it's going to be. And you have to treat these people like what they are. They are our enemy. They have stated they want to reshape or destroy the Democratic Party. Why let them in? again, we can't stop them from getting elected. That's a liberal value, the consent of the governed. They were elected to represent their position, their state, or their congressional district. So I'm not for taking away their seat or anything like that, anything liberal like that, but we sure as hell don't have to work with them, and we shouldn't, because again, as you said, they won't work with us.
I mean, the way you do this systemically is what happened to Graham Plattner, where he spent the entire time campaigning, bashing the Democratic Party, and then he ran out of money, and then was at the point where he basically had to grovel on his knees and apologize for the back. Like, I don't think they're entitled to support, of a party that they insist on destroying.
Do you think that any of this is just denialism on the part of like Peace and Josiah, for example?
What do you mean?
For Josiah, definitely not. For Peace, I'm pretty sure not. I think one of the big issues is I feel like liberals in general just don't see, or at least some people just don't see like a macroeconomic game. Like everything is a
macroeconomics
political game. Everything's being evaluated on like this short-term basis. So I hate programming myself right now because Josiah and Pisco were trying to force this question.
Does Pisco even know what the Phillips curve is? Does he even know? Could he even draw the long-run Phillips curve?
Of like, would you vote for AOC over JD Vance?
Notice Pisco lists the factors of production. Could even, I mean, that's a micro thing too, I guess, but notice that none of our smart liberal friends believe any of this. Hey, I'm going to be so real. I'm locked in on Palworld right now.
If that election was literally held right now, today, like right now, we have it's AOC 1 trillion %. It's not even close, obviously. But the issue is like, are we talking about a world where AOC has been empowering like communists in my political party, and now she has managed to run a political program that's got her to the steps of the presidency? We're just now one election away. And it's like, would you support her or would you support JD Vance? Like, Jesus, that's a really fucking difficult question. Like, I don't want to live in a communist country. It sounds so goofy. I don't even say.
Oh, that was a quote everyone was talking about shitting on Destiny 4. I remember that.
It's like, communism sucks, and I don't think it's like, it really is, maybe not quite as retarded as like all the conservative propaganda was, but it really is like not good. It's not a thing that I have any desire to be a part of. I can't believe I have to fucking say that. But like, it has to be, like, these people have a subversive political program. They've been trying to run this subversive political program, and they're starting to have a little bit of success, especially now that they've got a foothold in the New York City mayoral seat, or that office. So it's like to just infinitely make these like deals with the devil, like, you're just like, okay, we're working on the short term. I think even people are like, well, come on, it's not like they're gonna get more popular next election cycle. I was like, well, what if they do? I think
they are. What do you mean they are?
Yeah, and they're gonna start making excuses. Like, right now you're saying, well, if you would vote for AOC over JD Vance, who would you vote for? It's like, well, probably AOC. Like, well, what if you ask the same question 2 years from now and they've got 20 seats? Or what about 6 years from now and they've got 50 seats? It's also a point does it stop?
It's a false question. It's a false question.
Why are we even granting that? Why are we even
just real quick. It's a false question. They set up these things. Well, which would you vote for? AOC?
Bro, I don't even care. I don't even care about the socialist dog. I care about the non-wonks. Okay, I'm fine with the. Well, I don't want to say fine. I'd rather the SDLs and Arcana boys run the world than like a sloppy list, like even non-socialist Dem. But I did eat breakfast. I know they're doing. Yeah.
See your Vance. Obviously, AOC.
He is kind of. In fairness, he said also, right? He said also, right?
See, but that's not the question.
I think
they are. What do you mean they are?
Yeah, and they're going to say excuses. Like, right now you're saying, well, if you had to vote for AOC over JD Vance, who would you vote for? It's like, well, probably AOC. Like,
why are we even granting that? Why are we even
just real quick. It's a false question. They set up these things. Well, which would you vote for? AOC. False question. It's a false question.
Same question 2 years from now and they've got 20 seats. Or about 6 years from now and they've got 50 seats.
It's also
what point does it stop?
It's a false question. It's a false question.
See, you said also, okay? See, also implies separately from the thing that you were considering.
Just real quick. It's a false question. They set up these things. Well, which would you vote for, AOC or Vance? Obviously AOC, but that's not the question that's being posed to us. The question that's being posed to us is who do we want to be our representative or representatives to face Vance or to face these post-liberal actors, bad actors on the MAGA side. And I think that that's an important distinction because, yes, harm reduction strategies are important and we should choose the lesser evil when it comes to two bad choices. The false kind of setup is assuming that those are our only options. And that's what they smuggle in with hypotheticals like that, with questions like that. No, I don't want to vote for AOC. I don't mind her. She's probably the least bad of that whole crew, and she's growing on me to some extent. But if I'm going to choose someone I think will represent my values and the values of my party, and I think actually win in a sustainable level, so not just one election cycle and then we switch right back, but win consistently, Asif, Shapiro, Bashir, right? There's a whole list, even Pete Buttigieg, right? There's a whole list of, I would consider fundamentally liberal actors who, again, I don't agree with all the policies of these people, and I'm sure I would disagree on some positions that they have, but overall, these people are Democrats, and we want Democrats being the face of the Democratic Party. I don't know why that's crazy to say.
I mean, it might help to really philosophically define what the difference in goals are. There's a line on the left, which I would draw just past AOC, between sock Dems, who would be liberal, and
Good night, Navon. Thank you for being installed. Good night, Judge Gray. Thanks for stopping by.
Democratic socialists, so Demsocks who are not. Demsocks, onward, believe that fundamentally they need to destroy capitalism, and that can only be achieved through revolutionary means, not reform means, which means any extent of their participation within a electoral system, within our electoral system, is with the purpose of destroying the government, is accelerationist. They say this as much. One of the biggest core central caucuses in the Red Star Caucus. Democratic socialists, so Demsocks who are not. A line on the left, which I would draw just past AOC, between sock Dems, who would be liberal, and Democratic socialists, so Demsocks who are not. Demsocks, onward, believe that fundamentally they
I think Demsock implies liberal socialist. It'd be hard to. Which, like, if you care that much about property rights, I understand not calling them liberal or whatever, but I think Demsock implies some type of liberal socialism.
need to destroy capitalism, and that can only be achieved through revolutionary means, not reform means, which means any.
I'm pretty sure Dem socks don't say it's just not true. That's just not most Dem stocks. I think say the opposite.
Extent of their participation within a electoral system, within our electoral system, is with the purpose of destroying the government, is accelerationist. They say this as much. One of the biggest core central caucuses in the DSA is the Red Star Caucus, which says this outright, and they try to be involved in everything. That is fundamentally their purpose. Like, they're not trying to work with you, and their biggest threat will always be any candidate they see as feasible, who could win, who could in fact make life better for the average American without the need for a communist revolution. That would prove that they are irrelevant, that their authoritarianism is not needed, and to fix the world without them, to fix the world under capitalism, is like the antithesis of their actual goal. So like that is the broader goal to look for. They're trying to make life better, or trying to overthrow capitalism, in which case they will consent to any gentrification by Republicans or themselves.
So now that we've got, like, I guess, like, this really strong understanding that, like, DSA is obviously pushing for things that are going to be counter to everyone's well-being. I really want to ask, like, the pre-scripted. We talked a little bit about this relating to what do we do as content creators. And as content creator, I feel like our job is to try to push society in a direction that obviously is in alignment with our goals. I can't remember who was talking about earlier. I touched on this earlier too. But the whole thing about, like, when we compromise ourselves to work with these, like, very objectively evil people, like how MAGA did with Trump, right, or the Republicans did with Trump, right? We saw what that got them when they compromised themselves. And we need to have litmus tests as content creators, right, for people who are not willing to actually stand against, like, representatives like the DSA, right? So I genuinely don't know the answer to this. But like, for someone like Hassan, like, I don't know how openly I guess, like, people like Pisco or Hutch, like, straight up disavow Hassan and, like, say, like, he's, like, really, like an awful influence. Are they, like, really open about that? I have no idea their position, for example.
I think they think that it's bad, but they just don't ever want to deal with it or talk about it, I guess.
Okay, yeah, right there.
I spoke to
Okay,
Josiah. I spoke to Josiah on Twitter, right? So it's not a private conversation; it was a public one. And he asked a question like, "Well, in Josiah's view, Trump is the bigger threat, and he should be the focus. He's the presidency of the United States. They're the ones with political power. They're the ones with the control, the levers of authority in America. So they should be the focus." And fair enough. But he asked a question like, "How much of my time should be spent focusing on Hassan?" And I said, for every 100 videos you do on Trump, you should do one on Hassan, or one on the left, or the far left, or one on socialists or tankies or something, right? And he laughed at me and said, "Yeah, well, that's probably the closest I've seen to an actual answer." But I don't think in his hundreds of videos I've seen one anti-left video.
And I also this issue too, where this is what I mean when I also say like macro game, where it, like, there's this idea of like this conceptual fungibility, where it's like, why did Hillary Clinton lose the election? Was it because of Comey? Sure, it could have been. Like, it's like the Charlie Brooke Camel's back. Was it because of email stuff? Was it because of Bill Clinton? Was it because of Benghazi? Like, well, any one of these things changing could have changed the outcome of that election. So it's hard to blame any one thing and say that's the reason why she lost. When we say that like the most important thing is beating Donald Trump, sure, but like, what if no Democrat had any legs and couldn't make it to the polling place? Well, the most important thing would be beating Donald Trump, sure, but the most important thing first probably getting like nationwide prosthetics so people could walk, right? Like there's this idea that somehow these things can be separated from each other. The most important thing is beating Donald Trump. What are some of the biggest things that stand in front of Democrats? We have a horrible and atrocious party brand, right? We have no way to message about the things that we believe, and the DSA people are directly oppositional to us in those two senses, and they are directly hurting and harming our ability to do that. So like, if beating Donald Trump is the most important thing, then we need like a party that is unified in beating Donald Trump or MAGA or JD Vance, whatever comes next. It can't be that it's like, well, here are people stabbing you in the back the entire time. Well, isn't the most important thing fighting the guy in front of you? Like, yeah, but I'm getting stabbed fucking back. How the fuck am I supposed to fight the guy in front of me? There's 3 knives or 100 knives. I think that's the big issue. It's like this unidimensional, especially when it's something like attacking Trump.
Well,
like,
I mean, I think that's true, and I think probably on net most DSA candidates are not good for Democrats. But I hate the median voter. I hate the median voter, bro. Unfortunately, I'm not convinced that's the biggest issue in the world. I'm not going to, unfortunately, sadly.
if you release 100 videos on a guy, is the 101st video going to be the one that really takes him? Like, this is the one where it's like, finally, my audience understands. As opposed to doing 95 videos, like 5 saying, like, hey, by the way, this ultra far left stuff, this isn't what we're about. This doesn't define us. Like, it's so hard to make those 5 videos, that one video. But on the far left, it is constantly attacking and shitting on.
Well, that's in the understanding diminishing marginal returns. This is huge. This is huge.
The Dems. And we just can't survive that. And it's going to hurt you. If you think that being Donald is important, then there should be a fight that is important to you, is defining who your party is.
Sure. I was going to say, I don't think Hassan is. I think if you keep putting pressure on him, if you keep needling at him, he's very whiny. He's going to eventually just crumble because he has no standards. He has no leadership skills. He thought that he thinks that wearing a suit is like going to get him where he needs to go while touting just like these awful policies that I don't even think he personally believes in. Or maybe he does. Sure. I have no idea. Yeah. but genuinely, I think, huh?
And his fashion is terrible.
Yeah, Hassan's a symptom. He's a symptom.
He's a symptom.
He's not the problem, and I just think it's important to make that clear.
Well, he's causing the problems. Is he not?
No, he is contributing to the idea of like, can we push back against anybody to further left than a moderate Dem? Is that possible for any Democratic person to do without getting their head bitten off? It feels like the answer to that has been no for quite a while. And I'm not to play, and I don't even think this is the most important contributing factor, but like the woke shit, right? There was an issue there where it was like, no matter how far left somebody comes out with a take on something, you know, I have a trans 4-year-old, which like, or I have a trans dog or something, or whatever. Like, it's just like the most insane things that it's fine. They're getting insane people, but nobody can say, okay, maybe that's like a little bit too far for a national level position. And nobody is allowed to have their opinion in the Democratic Party, and it hurts us.
Well, it's a trick. Like one of the most successful things Republicans have done is kind of convince us to defend indefensible things, and they'll do that by nut picking. And what I mean by nut picking is they'll choose some crazy position, lives of TikTok or someone else will platform that position, will put a megaphone to that position, and then well-meaning Dems wanting to oppose Republicans come out, knee-jerk reaction to defend that crazy position. And it's insane. We can't push back because if you do, as I think all of us have probably seen, as soon as you come out against any of these far left people, you're actually a Republican. That's what they'll say. You're a Republican. You just hate universal health care. You just hate Medicare for all. Oh, why are you attacking the left when Trump's the greater threat? It's this structure that you can never criticize them, and they will always criticize you. And until we get people with balls to say, fuck you, no, I'm actually trying to solve the problem, which is that, and we know this from the Ipsos polls, we know this from the Gallup polls, we know this from YouGov polls, most of the Democratic Party, I'm not talking the general electorate, I'm talking the Democratic Party, most of the Democratic Party either doesn't want us to go further left or thinks we are too far left.
I'd like to make a point of agreement now with ones. Just really quickly. So like my observation on what you and Stephen are talking about from the past couple of years, especially like early 2020s, when, for example, Republicans focus a lot on transgender issues nationally, with like the gender affirmative care bans nationwide. My impression was that it was really convenient for Republicans to focus on that for two reasons. First is that it's a really complicated subject. Gender affirmative care, any medical care subject as far as policy is just going to be complicated. So it's really easy for them to come out and say, oh, well, Democrats are advocating for crazy things X, Y, Z, and then people have to come in and give like the wall of text response to say, no, actually that's not why, and here's 20 different sources for why, right? Like it's really efficient for them to be able to lob accusations without having to worry about much pushback. So that's the issue from that side, to give a bit more nuance. But you both, I think, are correct in that during that period when people would try to give like reasoned and level-headed responses that are not perfectly along the hard left line, that then those same people who are liberal and advocating for good policies would then be attacked by people on the far left who are seeing them as exactly the same as the people in MAGA and the far right who are.
As hard as that is on the trans stuff, like now it's even worse.
They not letting my boy North speak.
Because now it's not the trans stuff. Now it's fucking
horrible.
Palestine. And like, good luck trying to give a nuanced and measured take, which the Democratic Party, by the way, does desperately need. Like the average Democrat needs to know that you don't have a party that seems to be completely and totally beholden to standing behind Israel and every atrocity you see on TV, every time you do guns. There has to be a way to message that, but to do it in a way that separates you both from the Republicans, who they don't practically anything to these people, and then to the far lefties, which are promising you like fucking world peace. And like how do you even the Democrats are not able to navigate that right now. That issue is even more complicated.
The problem. Yeah, there's a problem. I think it's also with like the, as you call it, the moderate liberal side, is the fact that whenever there is like a controversial opinion, according to the lefties, they'll go out there and they'll do hate. There's no like counter reaction on our side to like counter their hate. They have their hate mob. They will go after people if you say the wrong opinion. But like, where are all these like content creators, specifically you, Stephen, going out there to like support?
Me for real?
As liberals for actually standing up for like nuance.
Nobody. Did you see the Adam Smith stuff?
Oh man,
I know. I haven't yet.
I saw the interview.
He went on breaking points. He went on breaking points, and he gave, I think, a good. He gave a good Democratic position. This is the same person over and over again. The Democrats don't have a place to pilot their opinions on, like really friendly news network before launching into the mainstream. But he had a good Democratic position that I thought was holding Israel accountable, while not just blindly saying we should ban every single ally we have. And he got so eviscerated. I think vandalized his house. He got so eviscerated after this interview. But I think he ended up flipping one of his votes on a recent funding bill for, I think it was related to Israel stuff. He said he flipped the vote because it was too much. That the insane amount of pushback and hate they got realized was way too much for it. Like that's crazy, and nobody will say anything about that.
Is that I hadn't heard that. Is that accurate? Is that something? Wow. See, this is what I mean by illiberal.
Chat, is this real?
When we have someone going on to a news show giving a measured opinion, I saw that debate or that interview, I would say, with Crystal Ball and Adam Smith or something. Yeah, I think that's his name. Reasonable. I didn't agree with him 100% on a few things, but reasonable guy, was able to lay out his positions correctly. And the fact that if this is true, and I hadn't heard this, I'll have to look this up, right? If this is true, that because of the reaction to that, he was targeted and vandalized and pressured by these illiberal hate mob to change his vote, that's a problem, and we have to fix it now. I don't want our politics to be
Oh no, everyone's gonna. Oh no, clip it. Wick thinks it's a problem only because of Israel. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm hearing.
Constant haranguement by the most mentally ill motherfuckers that you could ever imagine coming at you if you don't agree with them 100%. That cannot be the future of America. It cannot be. We have to stop it now.
Can I ask who was?
Reading a quick thing here. Said his family's home was vandalized. A fire was set in his driveway. One of his staff members was assaulted. Activists shut down town hall meetings and his neighbors. And his neighbors' lives have been disrupted by late night demonstrations related to this. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm completely.
Look, sorry, North, 1 second. I'll let you go ahead.
I'm completely ignorant. You're saying that the Democratic Party is pushing back against him? Like it's specifically.
No.
Okay. I'm done. I'm good. I got places. I hope to talk to that Caden guy tomorrow, like I said, but I don't know for sure yet if it'll happen. But regardless if it does or not, I'll still stream tomorrow. If I'm not talking to him, I'll try to set something else up, but we'll see. And then the day after tomorrow, I won't be streaming because I will work, and then I'm gonna see a movie with my friend. So yeah, okay. Head over to Jordan. Okay. My hair's fucked up. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love streaming. Love you guys watch the stream. Like, subscribe, share. All that stuff.